Today, live from Michigan International Speedway, the Champion Spark Plug 400. We have had some rain here overnight, but right now, skies are just overcast. The temperature at 69 degrees, the humidity 95%. The weatherman says the chance of rain has been reduced to 30%. We are speeding up our starting procedures here because of the continued threat of rain. The cars moving on to the racetrack from pit road. And Ned, the Winston Cup points battle is tremendous.
And I think we'll see a lot of jockeying going on as far as points are concerned here today. Dale Earnhardt has one victory here at Michigan. Almost a disaster there last week when he had to make that quick pit stop, but he came out on top again. Look for him to come up through the pack. Here he is, almost going by the end of pit road before the engine cut off. He dove into the pits, got it repaired, got back out without losing a lap, came home in third place. I think he'd take a top 5 finish here today. Mark Martin has fought his way to second place without a victory, but this could be the day that Mark Martin will get into victory lane. The Fords run well on this racetrack. Darrell Waltrip dropped down a position last week. He would like to rectify that. He's starting back in 19th place, but he has 2 victories on this racetrack, and he has a much better horse than his 19th place qualifying indicates. Look for him to come up through the field. Rusty Wallace feels that he has the momentum going after his victory last week at Watkins Glen. He feels that it can carry right on into today, and we know that he'll be up there scratching and clawing up near the front. Bill Elliott dropped a position last week. He would like to make up for that, but if there has ever been a forgiving racetrack for a driver, it's this one here at Michigan for Bill Elliott. He has won 7 of the last 12 races here, 1 second and 3/3 in those 12 races. He has certainly found the groove around this racetrack, has to be the favorite today.
All right, Ned. Well, we take a closer look now at the racetrack that the drivers will be competing on here today. It's a 2-mile D-shaped oval. The full lap time was 40.918 seconds. The speed 175.962 miles an hour, a record. The banking is between 5 and 12 degrees. We'll go 200 laps, and they will get about 44 to 48 laps in before they have to come in for a fuel stop. Here now is the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole, the Motorcraft Ford. He's from Chemung, New York. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup, Benny, a very wide racetrack that we'll probably see lots of passing on.
Bob Jenkins, this is the ultimate driver's racetrack because you can run any place, high, low, in the middle of the racetrack, and these guys will be searching all day for that perfect groove, the best way around the racetrack.
The pace car pulls off of the track, and we are set to go now for 200 laps, 400 miles at Michigan International Speedway. Despite the weather, the grandstands are full, and here we go. The green flag is out.
You can see Richard Petty back there making 3 abreast as he heads into turn 1. Look for him to run good here today, Bob.
Somebody got old Richard pumped up. He usually don't go down the inside and make it 3 abreast, particularly on the first lap, but today he did.
Rusty Wallace leads Jeff Bodine down the backstretch. Mark Martin is third. And here is our camera that's positioned on Jimmy Means' car. It's outside the race car. On the right side, it should give us some excellent pictures. We have in-car cameras today in Jimmy Means' car. Also in number 33 car of Harry Gant and in Mark Martin's.
Jimmy Means this week just made a new deal with Alka-Seltzer to sponsor him in 1990.
We talked about this angle several months ago on Speed Week, and it should give us some great angles this afternoon as we continue to see Rusty Wallace lead Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin down the backstretch on lap number 2.
No big surprise that Rusty Wallace would try to jump out front, get 5 points bonus for leading a lap, but he looks like he's going to make a runaway of it.
There's a pole sitter from last weekend, the number 75 car of Morgan Shepherd. Now the battle for third position is really heating up as the cars come out of the fourth corner and into the area here in front of the grandstand. That's Mark Martin now moving to the inside of Jeff Bodine, trying to take over second position, and Mark has second spot in the number 6 machine. Jeff Bodine is third for the moment, but he's getting the challenge for the 25 car of Ken Schrader and Kowicki in 7.
I tell you what, that was impressive, Jarrett. Mark Martin passed 2 cars in just a half a straightaway. So Mark Martin's car looks awfully strong. And look, here comes Schrader on the inside of our pole sitter, Jeff Bodine.
Ken Schrader trying to take over third spot in the third and fourth corners. Can't get the job done as he moves the car to the low side of the racetrack. The speeds here this weekend in qualifying were the fastest as they have ever been as Jeff Bodine broke the track record and went 175.9 in qualifying. There you can see Bill Elliott in the red and white number 9 car hanging behind Ken Schrader in 6th position at the moment. Here comes Alan Kowicki now looking to the inside of Jeff Bodine as they race down the backstretch once again. And it appears as if Alan Kowicki, yes indeed, he picks up third. Here is Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty running side by side with Michael Waltrip watching from behind in the bright yellow car number 30. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Dale Earnhardt's car.
And a lot of problem with Dale Earnhardt's car just before the start of the race, gentlemen. Yesterday in practice, the car was very, very sluggish coming off the corner. They changed the ignition yesterday, they changed the distributor, they changed the carburetor, and they were hustling this morning around the garage area trying to figure out what the problem was. They absolutely could not figure it out. They said they'll just have to live with it. The car is absolutely just having a problem. Let's go up pit road to Jack Arute. Jack?
Well, taking a look at the way these cars are running, but Davey Allison also being a long time in the garage area before he brought his car out into pit road, but the car seems to be running quite well right now. Let's go back to you.
Richard Petty drops to the low side of the racetrack, and he's headed for pit road. He started 17th, had moved to 15th, but an early problem has developed on the STP Pontiac, and here comes Richard Petty in for a stop. Jerry Punch is there.
An unscheduled stop for Richard Petty. Apparently they have gotten some sheet metal against the right rear tire. As Petty was jostling for position early in the start of the race, he must have gotten against another car and bent the right rear quarter panel in against the tire. They had a tire rubbing. Dale Inman and crew have pulled it away, and Petty is down and away. He will not lose a lap, but he loses a lot of valuable time.
He certainly does. The acceleration time has really cost Richard Petty, but he is back in competition as we look toward the front now and see Mark Martin, who's positioned his Strollite Ford right behind Rusty Wallace. Running in third spot is Alan Kowicki.
And they're trying to break away from that 4th place car right now. They've got a few car lengths on them. One of the biggest advantages we've seen already.
There is our shot from inside Mark Martin's car as he runs in second.
Well, Rusty Wallace had gotten out to a pretty good lead on the first couple of laps, but it didn't take those 2 Fords of Mark Martin and Alan Kowicki long to run him down.
Well, Ford has won this race the last 4 years. They've won 8 out of 11 here in Michigan, and they have won 6 of 7 super speedway events this year.
You know, Mark Martin was doing okay until Alan Kowicki pulled up behind him. When he pulled up behind him, he took the air off the rear spoiler. Now, Mark Martin's car a little bit too loose. He's not able to pull up on the back of Rusty Wallace like he was a moment ago.
As we've said so many times, catching somebody is one thing, but passing them is another thing, and that's exactly what's happened. Once he got up there on Rusty and the car number 7 of Alan Kowicki pulled up behind him, then he didn't have the handle that he had before.
There are the first 3 cars. Rusty Wallace leads in the Kodiak Pontiac. We're riding with Mark Martin in second position, and right behind Mark is the 7 car of Alan Kowicki as 7 laps have been completed. as we see the battle shaping up between the number 11 car of Terry Labonte and the 17 of Darrell Waltrip.
Waltrip was one of the fastest cars in practice yesterday morning, Bob, but he had a bad qualifying run. He started in 19th position, and he's currently still running in 19th position.
We're watching the battle for 18th spot with Labonte holding down 18th right now and Darrell Waltrip in 19th spot. Let's go to Jerry Punch once again.
As we take a look at Darrell Waltrip chasing Terry Labonte, that's the same two cars that ran at Talladega, and that's the way they finished down at Talladega, Alabama, Talladega Super Speedway. It's the same car that Darrell Waltrip ran at Talladega and ran so well, finished second there. They were hoping the car would run a little bit better here at Michigan. They were disappointed in qualifying. They had the car dialed in, and they are chasing the leader. If you look right now, the leader's up front, trying to pull away.
Just some great action up front, Jerry, as Wallace is trying to keep Mark Martin and Alan Kulwicki behind him, and so far he has been able to do so, but the competition is great. Now Kulwicki looking to the inside as they go down the backstretch. He'll not make a move, however, for second.
As we're looking from inside Mark Martin, Stroh's line forward, that was the concern the drivers had down there yesterday. As we watched the speed chop, those guys coming off turn 4, that was the concern, that the cars did not handle the same when they was in front of cars or behind cars.
So the champion Sparkplug 400 is underway here at Michigan International Speedway. We're delighted you can join us on this Sunday afternoon, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. The stands are full despite very overcast, humid, and earlier this morning rainy conditions at Michigan International Speedway. We are live for the champion Sparkplug 400. And our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. By the Die-Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Budweiser Beechwood Aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. 12 laps into the 200-lap champion Sparkplug 400. Rusty Wallace leads, and look at this tremendous battle for second spot. Mark Martin is in number 6, but he loses second position to Alan Kulwicki in number 7.
Well, Kulwicki passed him coming off turn 4. That's turn 2 you're looking at now, folks. But up in turn 4, Kulwicki passed him, and Mark Martin passed him back before they got to turn 1.
And Kulwicki did it on the outside. It looks like the high groove here, Benny, is going to work early for him. Normally, we're 100 or so miles into the race before we see the high groove come in, but several drivers are making it work to their advantage.
They're going to the top of the racetrack, and they are making it work. Exactly right. And look here, there are 3 abreast coming down the front straightaway.
Davey Allison on the inside, Darrell Waltrip in the middle, and Dale Earnhardt was on the outside as Waltrip continues to make his way up through the pack.
And Earnhardt, our Winston Cup point leader, is working his way to the back, Ninja, and he's losing spots. So, as Jerry Punch mentioned just a moment ago, they've had trouble with that car. It looks like they may not have it fixed.
Certainly, he's not running as good as he normally does. Here comes Terry Labonte in the Budweiser Ford trying to move around Dale Earnhardt.
And you're right, Earnhardt was running in 13th position just 2 laps ago, and now is falling back, although he battles back somewhat on the high side of the racetrack up in the 3rd and 4th turns.
They're running at a little less than 170 miles an hour is the speed that they're turning, the average speed around the racetrack.
Back up front, meanwhile, it is still Rusty Wallace with the lead. There he is in car number 27. Jerry Punch is on pit road with Barry Dotson, the crew chief on this car.
Well, gentlemen, they've been chasing the track all week long. The track had changed drastically from when they were here back in June, primarily because of the IndyCar race that ran here last month. And now that it rained all night, let's check in with Barry Dotson to see what that's done to the racetrack. Barry, the rain last night and this morning, how's it changed the track?
Made it tight, Jerry. Right now, car doesn't want to turn, and it's wearing tires. Earnhardt's coming in now. He thinks he's got a problem. It's going to wear the tires. It's going to get loose. Right now, it's tight.
Well, trouble for Rusty Wallace. Their car is awfully tight, but more trouble for Dale Earnhardt. He makes his way down pit road, and the problem we spoke about a little bit earlier, the ignition problem and the sputtering as he brings the car to a halt. And now the four-time national champion Flying Aces pit crew go to work on the car. They will change right side tires, and no, they do not raise the hood as of yet. They have fueled the car. Chocolate Myers has put the 1 can of fuel in the car. They're still changing the right side tires. It is down, and they go to the left side. He is away, so a tire change only. No underneath the hood check for Earnhardt, and he is back toward turn 1.
And Jerry, he's going to have to hurry to get his speed up. Rusty Wallace coming down the front straightaway now. It's going to be awfully close if Earnhardt can get his speed up and stay in the lead lap.
We'll watch carefully to see if indeed Dale Earnhardt goes a lap down. There is Rusty Wallace and Alan Kowicki at full speed of about 170 miles an hour as they come out of corner number 2. There is Earnhardt. You can see how close he is to losing a lap.
This is exactly the scenario that Barry Dodson and I talked about at the airport the other night. He said some race, as the closest competition is anymore, if they can get Earnhardt down a lap and keep him there, they'll be right back in the Winston Cup Point Championship. So Rusty Wallace, believe me, he wants to pass that 3 car badly.
Because we've been having so many cars finish in the lead lap, and a driver that's a lap down can be running awfully good and still finish back 15th to 20th.
Exactly.
Alan Kowicki running in second position right behind Rusty Wallace, Jackaroo.
And Bob, as you can see, he's beginning to close, but one of the things that he's reported back to his crew is the fact that the car is just a little bit too tight for his liking. It's got a little bit too much push. They've already made the adjustment vis-a-vis tire stagger for the first pit stop. They're going to try and loosen the car up. But right now, it seems to be running very well for them, despite the push.
Well, that's exactly what Barry Dodson told us, as he says that Rusty Wallace's car also just a little tight.
Yesterday afternoon, the last practice, the sun was shining when they were setting these cars up for the race. And there's a big difference in this racetrack and most racetracks when the sun is out or when it's cloudy. And more on that, let's go to Dr. Jerry Crunch.
Well, Dan, a minute ago, we heard Barry Dodson tell us that because of the rain, the track was going to be extremely abrasive and hard on tires. Then we saw the unscheduled pit stop for Dale Earnhardt. Why did he come in? Well, this is the right rear tire that came off the Goodrich Chevrolet, car number 3. You see big chunks of rubber have been ripped away from this tire. A lot of crew chiefs are very concerned. They have run down here now and taken a look at the tire. They thought maybe the tire was cut or going down, but that was not the case. Will Lane has checked the air pressure in the tire. It just came apart on them, so there's a lot of concern about an abrasive racetrack here in Michigan. Gentlemen?
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry. We'll continue to watch that situation as it develops. Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 is still on the move, trying to take away 14th position from Sterling Marlin in the number 94 car, and the 33 car of Harry Gant is right behind Darrell.
And he has been coming up through the pack. Harry Gant was the second round fastest qualifier yesterday, starting in 21st place, so he's on the move.
And we're riding with him in the Skoll Oldsmobile.
Which we're looking at the windshield right now. Darrell Waltrip, as Waltrip tries to make a move on Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco Oldsmobile, and it looks like he's going to be able to pull under there, but no, didn't quite do it that way.
Marlin holding on to 14th position. Now look at Gant as he positions his car to the inside of Darrell Waltrip. They're 3 wide going through turn number 3 and 4. Here they are at the line. And it is Waltrip just by about a half a car length.
And talking about Waltrip, that yellow car down on the inside is Michael Waltrip, Darrell's brother, and he was slowed going into the first turn.
There is the leader, Rusty Wallace, and Alan Kowicki, about 2 car lengths behind in second position. 20 laps have been completed here at Michigan. 200 will make up the 400 miles on this 2-mile D-shaped course at Michigan International Speedway. Back with more of our live coverage in a moment. 22 of 200 laps now completed. Rusty Wallace is your leader with Kowicki running second. Mark Martin is third, followed by Ken Schrader and Morgan Shepherd. Running in 6th position is Jeff Bodine, the pole sitter. Bill Elliott is 7th, followed by Rick Wilson, Ricky Rudd, and Kyle Petty. And 11th through 15th, Brett Bodine, Derek Cope, Sterling Marlin, Darrell Waltrip, and Harry Gant. There is how close it is for the lead. Rusty Wallace continuing to cling to a very slight advantage. And we have a car spinning off turn 4. He'll make it to the pit area without any problem. That's the number 18 machine driven by Rick Jeffrey from Louisville, Kentucky, the B&W Auto Supply Pontiac. And I don't believe it's going to cause a yellow because he just continued to go into the pit area.
Boy, don't you know, Earnhardt wanted that caution flag so badly because he's now only about 15, 20 car lengths. There he is, right in front of Rusty Wallace. The black car, Earnhardt. The white car, Rusty Wallace. The black car is the Winston Cup point leader, and if Rusty Wallace can put him a lap down, it's going to be an uphill struggle all day for Earnhardt.
And with a comment on the leader, Rusty Wallace, here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Benny Parsons, you must be a soothsayer. It's exactly what the Rusty Wallace crew is telling him on the radio. Barry Dodson just moments ago said, hey, if we can lap Earnhardt, we're fourth in the points. We're putting way behind throughout the afternoon. That'll help us a lot in the point battle. However, on the other hand, after seeing Earnhardt's right rear tire, if we punish our Pontiac and blister our tire, then we're a lap down. So just drive the car where it's comfortable. If you can pass it, pass it. So that's what they're advising Wallace to do right now. Let's go up pit road to the Alan Kawicki pit where Jack Arena is standing by. Jack?
Jerry, they've taken on a real serious tone here in Alan Kawicki's pit, so much so many races here, fuel has been a problem. How much fuel you consume and if you have enough to go the distance without making an additional stop. Here's what this team has done. You see these scales here? They're usually used to get the setup on a race car. What this team has done is they're going to weigh their fuel before they put it in and then afterwards. They figured out that gas weighs approximately 7 pounds per gallon. They'll deduct it and they'll get exactly, right down to the 10th of a pound, how much fuel they put in the car. They think that that may account for them being able to make maybe one less stop than everybody else if they get all that fuel in during each pit stop.
So while there's a lot going on in the pit area, there's also a lot going on the racetrack. Let's see if Rusty Wallace can put Dale Earnhardt a lap down. He pulls to the inside on the backstretch. He slingshots around, and Earnhardt does indeed go a lap down, and here comes Alan Kawicki.
Alan Kawicki helped push Rusty Wallace around, not physically. He didn't touch him, but the air, the draft helped to push him right on around Dale Earnhardt with ease.
Kawicki's able to get by Dale Earnhardt as well. Oh, no, take that back. Because Earnhardt comes back on the outside. This is inside the Martin car. Great pictures from inside the car.
Benny, it looks like the Ford cars, when they get around other cars, it upsets them.
I thought Kawicki was sideways.
It could have been the angle of the camera, but I think he was a little bit sideways.
I think he was a little bit sideways because he did lose some of his momentum. Now he's trying one more time to get by Earnhardt.
But he's having a much tougher time of it than Rusty Wallace. Rusty just drove under him and went right on without any problem. Now it looks like Alan Kawicki has made the pass, but it just seems that those Fords, when they get around another race car, that they do get a little loose.
Exactly.
Here is Harry Gant, Brett Bodine, and Sterling Marlin all battling for position. This is 13th, 14th, and 15th right here, and they're three abreast as they cross the line. Now Sterling Marlin drops in behind Harry Gant, making it two abreast, and Davey Allison is also looking on right behind the 15 car. There is the view from out back of Harry Gant's machine. You can see Brett Bodine there to the inside, and there's the bumper cam on that car.
Bob, we mentioned a moment ago that Michael Walton had slowed down. He did temporarily, but for his mom and dad who are watching today, his mom's home from the hospital again today watching our ESPN broadcast, Michael picked back up, so he's still out on the racetrack and still running pretty good right now.
As we continue to watch what is going on behind Harry Gant, that's Sterling Marlin just ahead of Brett Bodine and Davey Allison. See them cross under the starter stand. Now here they are moving into turn number 1. Marlin and Bodine both go to the inside of the racetrack. Now their cars slide back high, coming out of corner number 2 and down the backstretch.
Boy, there's some guys out there that's sure hoping for a caution flag now because there are some ill-handling race cars on the racetrack at MIS today. Bill Elliott, one of the fastest cars yesterday afternoon in the sun that Ned Jarrett was talking about. Today in the overcast, he's not able to handle very well. He's mired back in 6th spot and not able to make a charge.
You're right. They would like to have a caution so they can come in and make adjustments to the current conditions.
And here's another group of cars. Ricky Rudd, car number 26, leading this group down the backstretch. He has gone from 16th position to 8th. Ricky Rudd has the number 10 car of Derek Cope right behind. Then Darrell Waltrip in 17 as Cope tries to make a move on Rudd.
That's what I was talking about. On such a wide racetrack, you can make a move and try to get by and not jeopardize anyone on the racetrack. What a super racetrack this is.
Well, he couldn't make that move work. Of course, he tried it down on the inside. Rudd had the momentum as a result of being up on the high side of the racetrack. Here's Darrell Walter trying to make a move now on Derek Cope. And Darrell's car is working pretty good down on the inside.
There we see Bill Elliott. Now, we talked just a moment ago. He's back in 6th spot. Rick Wilson's trying to get by him. And Jack Arute, do you have an update for us on Bill Elliott?
Well, Benny, it seems like he, like many of the other front runners, may have elected to tighten their cars too much before this race to compensate for the rain early this morning. I checked with Ernie Elliott, and he says, we are way, way too tight. We're going to have to loosen the car up during the first pit stop. He says Bill just can't drive it fast enough to stay up front.
So we'll watch for that probably in what, 10 laps, guys? We're on lap 32 right now, and the first pit stops should come around lap 40, 45, something like that.
Somewhere in the mid-40s they will be stopping. And some, of course, will stop earlier than others. Some get better gas mileage than others, so it'll be somewhere between 42 and 50 laps.
And here, once again, is a look at what's going on up front. And Rusty Wallace and Alan Kowicki. Kowicki moves low. He may take an advantage of this. Nope, I don't believe he's going to do it this time.
And for you folks that don't keep up with Winston Cup racing or don't have privilege to the information, Alan Kowicki this week on Tuesday decided to stay with his own car. He next year in 1990 will be driving the Xerox Ford number 7. He turned Junior Johnson down, if you can imagine that.
And what was a very lucrative offer from Junior also, we understand. Jerry Punch has more on this situation as Richard Petty goes a lap down.
Well, gentlemen, I talked to Alan Kowicki this week in the truck, and he felt like he had something to prove, not only to maybe a lot of people who question why he didn't go with Junior Johnson, one of the probable legends in the sport, but he wanted to prove that Alan Kowicki Racing could make it. He felt that money was not really that important right now. What he wanted to do was win in the car number 7, the Xerox Ford. And that's why he brought the best race car he owns here to Michigan. It's the same car he sat on the pole with at Atlanta and Charlotte. He was leading in Charlotte with 30 laps to go, and he blew the engine in his car. So this car is going to win a race. Maybe it'll win today in Michigan.
He has not had particularly good luck in recent races. His best finish since the Winston way back in May was when he finished 5th at the Pepsi 400 at Daytona, but other than that, his finishes have been in the 20s and the 30s. We take a look at the top 10 at the moment as we are live at Michigan International Speedway in the Champion Sparkplug 400. The first caution of the day is out on lap 35 here at Michigan as the number 94 car of Sterling Marlin has stopped high on the racetrack between turns 3 and 4. From the looks of the rear end of that car, he may have had contact with something, but it doesn't appear to be a serious contact.
I think he might have blown an engine in his car, Bob, and maybe spun it around and backed it into the wall. But he seems to have no power now. Sterling just waiting for the wrecker to get to him to get him back to the garage area.
You can see moving around in the cockpit. He's simply waiting on a tow vehicle to arrive on the scene as the safety workers go up the banking and have a conversation with Sterling Marlin. Now, Richard Petty, while the yellow was coming out and the race was going on back to the line, tried to get his lap back.
And he moved high on the racetrack. Jimmy Means right in front of Alan Kowicki, who had taken the lead, and Petty almost went too high, and Sterling Marlin was sitting up there. Boy, he came awfully close there. And then Kowicki gunned it coming down the front straightaway and did get around the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac of Jimmy Means and kept Petty a lap down.
You can see, though, that the pit lane is still closed as the pace car has not picked up the field yet.
No, they were running a little bit as a result of having to race back to the start-finish line. They were running too fast when they got to the first turn where the pace car comes out. So they'll have to go another lap before the pace car picks them up, and then they'll be allowed to come into the pits.
And Dale Earnhardt did not get his lap back. He is still 1 lap down, so his chances for the Winston Cup Championship is taking a serious, serious blow.
Yeah, because right now, Ben, you got at least 35 cars still in the lead lap. And so he is way back in the field at this point.
Well, I tell you what, can you see how would you like to see $1 million just going floating away? Of course, with all your money, Mr. Jenkins, it's no big deal, right?
Right. Jerry Punch has a comment in the pit area. Help me out of this, Jerry.
Well, gentlemen, the crews here are really excited about the chance to get to bring the cars in the first time under caution. The reason being the concern over the Dale Earnhardt tire to make sure they can change all 4 tires and take a good long look at how the rubber is wearing. Remember, the rains here last night and early this morning have drastically changed the racing surface. It's now a very tight surface. It means that the surface is so tight it could possibly just rip the rubber off the car. There's nothing wrong with the Goodyear Eagle tires, because the track is just so tight and so raw that it would cause a problem. So a lot of the crews welcome this first pit stop being under the yellow flag, and As they come around this time, the pit road will be opened by NASCAR. It'll be feeding time at the zoo here as we stand by for our first pit stop of the day.
And Jerry, the next time when they put on their second set of tires, now that they've run almost 100 miles, they've run, well, actually about 75 miles, that has put a lot of rubber down on the racetrack, so it should make the second set of tires work much better. Okay, the green flag is out, and here they come down pit road.
The pit lane is open, and you can see that just about everybody will come in. Jack Arute is in Alan Kowicki's pit.
And he's the first of the leaders to hit his mark. The Xerox crew goes to work on the board, taking right side rubber first. Kowicki is on top. Rusty Wallace on the bottom of your screen. As they continue to work here, they're going to go for all 4 tires here. Let's check in with Jerry Punch, who's with Rusty Wallace.
Right side tires already completed for Rusty Wallace. They will come around. Jimmy Maycar now takes the air race to the left front. Barry Dotson pumping that, Jack. As you see Kowicki on the left side there, and Rusty Wallace now getting his tires. His car is out of the way. Kowicki is out, but Rusty Wallace will beat him down pit road. They are changing tires in the pits here. Everyone's scurrying away. Mark with the pit. Oh, skipper back to turn 1.
Well, Rusty and Mark left just about the same time, but because Rusty was pitted toward the first turn further, he wins the battle out on the racetrack. I think all but 2 cars came in for a pit stop that time, and now everybody moving back out onto the racetrack to catch up with the pace car. Our crew cam this week is with the Kyle Petty crew. The utility man for this team is wearing it this week, moving out to the car now and catching the gas, waiting of course for the adequate number of people to come over the wall so there weren't too many over.
For you folks, ooh, what a mess that was.
A lot of gas spillage there as the car went out onto the racetrack, but all is well, and so we are under a caution here at Michigan International Speedway. Auto racing lost a colorful member of its community just this past week with the announced death of Tim Richmond in a medical facility in the state of Florida. We'd like to take just a few moments to remember Tim with great fondness. Tim's smiling, boyish face first came on the racing scene in the late 70s. After a start in go-karts, Tim moved to the powerful sprint cars and quickly gained respect of veterans. He was especially good on the high-bank paved half-mile ovals in the Midwest. He was Rookie of the Year at Indianapolis in 1980, hitching a ride back to victory lane with winner Johnny Rutherford. But Tim's greatness in Major League Racing came in NASCAR. His 13 victory lane celebrations were always special because Richmond liked to win so much.
About to win the Budweiser at the Glen. He raises his hand, comes off the 7th corner, gets a little bit sideways, the back tire's off the course, but it doesn't make any difference. Tim Richmond has won the Budweiser at the Glen.
Here comes Tim Richmond. He's a winner again.
We bid farewell to Tim with fond memories of his wink, the thumbs up, and his smile. We are back live at Michigan International Speedway in the Champion Sparkplug 400. In half a lap, the cars will be getting the green flag to resume racing. We are under our first caution period because of an incident up in turn 3 with Sterling Marlin. Now let's take a look at our pit stop summary. Rusty Wallace came into the pits in 2nd, now has the lead. Morgan Shepherd came in 4th, fell to 7th. Mark Martin went in 3rd and came out 4th, and Bobby Hillen was the driver who made the greatest jump. He was 20th when he came into the pits and comes out for the restart in 3rd.
Exactly what we saw last week in Watkins Glen, and I thought he probably would drift back at Watkins Glen. He did not. Ran up front all day, so maybe the same strategy will work here at MIS.
He probably only took on 2 tires. Most of the rest of them took on 4 as we get ready for the green flag.
The crowd rises to its feet to send the drivers up to speed once again. Green flag is showing. Back to racing on lap 41. Rusty Wallace has the lead.
Kowicki got a terrible, terrible start. I don't know what happened. You look at Morgan Shepherd going inside Bill Elliott, going in turn 1. That's the scene from the right window on Jimmy Means' car, the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac, as he looks at Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt in front of him.
Looks like Earnhardt was laying down rubber as he went through the 2nd corner. Jimmy Means and Alan Kowicki. Means is a lap down. Here comes Alan. He is the second place car. Let's go down to Jack Root with a report on Kowicki's tires.
Well, Bob, you know, all of us said that this pit stop would be very important for all the crews because they would want to check the tire wear. Well, as far as Alan Kowicki's team is concerned, they're getting not only excellent tire wear, but no problems at all. They did make the change. They loosened the car up. But as far as the tires that came off the car, they're very satisfied with them and feel that Alan has the right combination now to stay out front.
All right, we'll see if he can close in on the leader, Rusty Wallace, after a rather poor start when the green flag came out. He moves below Richard Petty.
He does that with ease, Bob. The car's stuck right down on the inside. Of course, with new tires, that'll help you to do that. Now he has to dispense with the Dale Earnhardt car as he moves on the inside of him.
Crossing the line, Alan Kowicki has passed Dale Earnhardt. Now there are no cars between Wallace, the leader, and Kowicki, and Neil Bonnet is being assessed a stop-and-go penalty.
Neil was late getting out of the pits in the Citgo Ford, and evidently he jumped the flag a little bit. He was way back at the back of the pack. He will be able to stay in the lead lap, but he's going to be far behind.
Remember now, we're on a super speedway 2 miles in length, but these cars are not running the restrictor plates. And you are watching the last race that will be on a track 2 miles or longer. From now on, everything is on a track 1.5 miles or shorter. And there is Darrell Waltrip in number 17, battling with Jeff Bodine in number 5, Team Cars.
I tell you what, Darrell Waltrip must have needed that caution flag badly because he was racing for about 15th spot before the caution flag, and now he is in 6th spot. He is on the way to the front. Look, he's right behind Sterling Marlin. I mean, the Mark Martin car, the Stroh's Light Ford. Darrell Waltrip must have made some serious. Oh, look at Bodine. Come back on the inside, trying to take this.
Oh,
and how many abreast? Four,
and it just didn't work. Morgan Shepherd very wisely backed out of it. He was about to come up there between Rick Wilson and Jimmy Means. He says, this is not a smart thing to do this at this stage of the race.
A lot of interesting rumors concerning the driver of car number 4, Rick Wilson, for next year. Rumor has it that he will go to the 75 car, the Raymock, and he will exchange places with Morgan Shepherd as Morgan goes to the Morgan McClure car.
Yeah, that's been the biggest rumor here this weekend, and I think that it might well happen. Neil Bonnet coming back into the pits in the Citgo Ford as we watch Morgan Shepherd go by Jimmy Means.
So Jimmy losing positions in that Alka-Seltzer sponsored car. Position still being fought for here. Jeff Bodine sneaking up once again on the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. As Mark Martin passes Dale Earnhardt, and there is the shot from Mark Martin's car. Just ahead is Alan Kowicki, and ahead of Alan is the leader of the race, Rusty Wallace. Dale's right beside him on the high side of the racetrack in turn 3.
Still right beside of him. Watch Darrell Waltrip.
Look at Darrell going low on the track, and he takes over third.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he is strong. I knew yesterday in practice that he was going to be strong. He thought he had a shot at the pole, and I don't know what happened in qualifying, but he qualified in 19th position. But he says, I got a horse here, and he's proving it right now.
Tell you what, he sure did. They must have given him a drink of something during that pit stop. I don't know what he took, but boy, is he going to the front.
Well, I would guess, Benny, that we heard several of them say that their cars were pushing early in the race as Mark Martin tries to come back up on him, but it doesn't quite work. That they changed the stagger on the tires, and it's just working much better for him, and he has plenty of horsepower under the hood of that Tide Chevrolet.
No Michigan winner has ever started out of the top 10 and won the race. Darrell Waltrip started the race 19th, but really didn't seem to be that concerned about his 19th starting position. He must have known that he could do better for the race, and indeed he is, as he now finds himself third.
And That's right, folks. This race is for third. There's Darrell Waltrip, the orange 17. Mark Martin is fourth, the blue number 6. Ken Schrader, the 25. He's the fifth place car. The reason we aren't showing you the first two is there's no race there. And believe me, there's a terrific race here.
Well, Mark Martin is able to hang with Darrell Waltrip after Waltrip got around, but look at him going down the straightaway. Waltrip pulls away.
Let's go to Jerry Punch with a comment on the Mark Martin car.
Well, gentlemen, a total different strategy for the Jack Roush team. You know, all year long they've been sitting on the pole, winning poles. In fact, 6 times they sat on the Busch pole, but in a rear steer car. At Pocono last time on ESPN, they brought out a brand new front steer car. They didn't qualify that well, but it ran awfully well in the race, and they finished second. They have another brand new front steer car here today. It's the car that Martin is in now. They figured the car would not qualify that well when it did sit on the front row, but the car would race extremely well. They've been very pleased with the handling of the car. And maybe Benny Parsons or Ned Jarrett can elaborate as to what the big difference is between a front steer and a rear steer car as far as handling at a racetrack.
Well, basically on the front steer, the car will want to push more in the corners. Will not be quite, the back end will not want to come out as badly as a rear steer car. But they're getting those cars where really and truly anymore they're pretty close.
Yes, they are. I think it's a driver and team preference. And now Mike Laughlin, who has been more or less an innovator of the front steer concept, has found a way to make the cars turn in the center of the corner, the front steer cars, and we're seeing a lot of the teams go to the front steer concept, and that simply means that the steering mechanism, the steering rods are in front of the spindle as opposed, and the steering box as opposed to being behind the wheel.
Fifth place car, the red number 25, is driven by Ken Schrader. As we go back to the second group now, as Jeff Bodine leads this group, and the number 8 car of Bobby Dillon, although it has lost some positions, is still hanging right in there, running ahead at the moment of Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott made a change on that last pit stop, and I tell you, it did not work. He is going even further back in the field than he was before, so whatever you guys did in the pits down there, you better undo it, because it wasn't the right way.
Yeah, he's lost 2 positions here just in half a lap. He battles back on the low side of the racetrack with Neil Bonnet. But obviously things are not going well for the Coors car, number 9, driven by Elliott, as Harry Gant makes it 3 wide here in front of the grandstand, going to the low side now of Elliott. There's the leader, Rusty Wallace, as he continues to lead Alan Kowicki and Darrell Waltrip with now 52 laps completed in the Champion Spark Plug 400. It's kind of hazy and foggy here, as you might know. However, it appears as if skies are beginning to break up, and the sun may be shining here in just a few moments. So we'll take a break and be right back with more of our live coverage from Michigan International Speedway. Right back. NASCAR Winston Cup racing today from the Irish Hills of southern Michigan. Of course, these shots were done on a much sunnier day. We've had nice weather until today, and it rained earlier. This little fella's got a problem. So it's kind of foggy and overcast right at the moment, but it does appear to be clearing off just a little bit as we continue with the Champion Spark Plug 400. There is the interval between first and second position. The leader is Rusty Wallace, and second place is Alan Kowicki. Now, the number 42 car, driven by Kyle Petty, is having a good run. Gary Nelson, of course, the crew chief on this car, the Peak-sponsored machine, doing very well at the moment, shown in 9th.
Dale Earnhardt coming in for another unscheduled pit stop. We saw him go a lap down a little bit earlier, and here's Dale Earnhardt back in the pits, the Winston Cup point leader.
There is Earnhardt. He's already a lap down. Jerry Punch, explain what's going on.
Well, again, Earnhardt called and complained about possibly a right rear tire going down, or maybe possibly blistered. I see the tire being pulled off. It looks to be okay. He is on pit road. They have changed right side tires in 12.3 seconds. He is down and away, but again, losing valuable time here in Michigan.
He must have been complaining about a soft tire, because I saw one of the fellows, as he rolled the tire back across the pit road, hitting it with his fist to see if it in fact was flat. But it didn't look like it was flat.
He's going to come close to going another lap down as Rusty Wallace goes into turn 2. Earnhardt is just coming out of that, so we'll keep a an eye on that while we watch Kyle Petty, who's making a move in the peak antifreeze Pontiac on the inside of Rick Wilson there.
He's trying to take over the 7th position at the moment. Kyle Petty, best finish here at Michigan International, was 3rd back in 1987. He's had a couple of make that 3 top 10 finishes so far this year. At Atlanta, he was 4th, finished 10th at the 400 here at Michigan earlier this year, and was 7th at Talladega.
He was doing a lot better when you started talking about it. I mean, he was up to about 5th, and you started talking about him, and he lost 2 spots.
We jinxed him, huh? I tell you what, these guys unveiled a $400,000 motorhome over the weekend that I had the pleasure of touring, and I'm telling you, I don't know why anybody would want to drive race cars when they can sit in this thing and enjoy the race.
Well, I'll tell you, those fellas talking about enjoying it. They're having a lot of fun out there now, jockeying around 4 positions. As Benny talked about this wide racetrack, they can really race low, high, and wherever they want to go. And it is looks like a fun track to drive. I'm just sorry that I never had the opportunity to drive here before I hung it up.
There's Bobby Hillen Jr. just ahead of the number 15 car, driven by Brett Bodine. He's running in 11th position. We asked Bobby, do you think you can win here at Michigan?
You know, I've talked to some people this week, and I said, you know, this is one of the first races I've gone into in probably 3 years. And I said, you know, I've really got a chance to win this race. We've got a good car. It's a new car. We've got a good engine. I look at the car going into the truck, and I say to myself, there's no reason why that car can't win the race, and there's no reason why I can't win the race in that car. So, you know, that's kind of the way I feel this weekend, and we're just going to, everyone try to work well together and hopefully do the best we can.
Well, he's coming off a 5th place finish last weekend on the road course at Watkins Glen, and currently runs in 11th here at Michigan.
And as we watch this group of cars running here, Sterling Marlin is coming back out onto the track, so he did not have an engine problem. Sterling up in the point standings and trying to get back out and get as many points as he can, so they have some repairs made, and he's coming out.
Jerry, what's the situation with Sterling Marlin?
Well, apparently he had an accelerator linkage stuck. The throttle hung wide open in the car. That's when he had to try to shut the car off to get it stopped. They took the car back to the garage and peeled some of the damaged sheet metal away, and now he is back on the track. He wants to try to get as many laps as possible because he is currently 9th in the points. Now, Dale Earnhardt's unscheduled pit stop a minute ago was for a cut right rear tire. They examined the tire very closely, and apparently he ran over something on the racetrack and cut the tire. So again, bad luck for the Goodrich team. Earnhardt, 2 unscheduled stops thus far.
We mentioned earlier that Michael Waltrip was having a problem, and indeed he has. He must have lost a cylinder. He has gone a lap down in the Country Time Lemonade Pontiac. He was running up in the top 10 for a while, but now Michael Waltrip has gone a lap down.
If you are just joining us, Dale Earnhardt has had a miserable race in the first 62 laps. He is 1 lap down in 38. Let's go to Jack Root for more on that story that Ned was talking about.
Well, actually, what we're talking about, Bob, was remember 1 week ago, Bill Elliott had a throttle linkage problem. It turned out to be the Heim joint that connects the linkage from the gas pedal back up to the carburetor. Bill Elliott had another one freeze up on him here during practice. They seem to think that there may be a bad batch of Heim joints running around, and that could have been the case with Sterling Marlin as well. As we watch Rusty Wallace make a move to the front.
He puts Dale Earnhardt 2 laps down. What's a Heim joint, Benny?
Well, it's a spherical ball bearing rod. It hooks onto the, and it is able to maneuver and go around. It's a ball bearing, actually what it is.
So Earnhardt now 2 laps down as Rusty Wallace has passed him once again.
Boy, I'll tell you, leading the point standings and as many cars as we still have in the lead lap, which is, I guess, over 30 cars. We'll get a rundown on that in a moment, but he is way, way back in the deal.
Dale Earnhardt entered this race 126 points ahead of Mark Martin, and at the moment Mark Martin runs in 4th position. So if things continue to go the way they are right now, we could see a real shuffle in the Winston Cup point standings. Maybe not so much of a shuffle as a continued tightening of the battle.
Bob, we mentioned a moment ago that Neil Bonney, we saw him come in for a stop-and-go penalty. He went back out and ran a lap or 2, and they brought him back in once again for a penalty. And that time, when he went out of pit road, he got up on the yellow line, and that was a penalty, so they brought him back in. So Neil Bonney has now gone a lap down.
And there is Alan Kowicki going to the low side and also passing Dale Earnhardt.
Earnhardt just does not have it hooked up this afternoon. He's had a flat tire, blistered tire, but still, even if he had all 4 tires good, he's just not as good as some of those other cars.
We'll show you the top 10 at the moment as we take another break during our live coverage of the Champion Sparkplug 400. Back after this. Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
This is the instrument panel from a NASCAR race car. It has a lot of similarities to one you may have in a street car, but there is also quite a few differences. The gauges here are liquid filled. There is oil inside of these gauges that cushions the needle movements, slows it down like a shock absorber maybe, to keep the needle movements more steady and easier for the driver to read over the heavy pounding and bumps that the cars go through on a high bank track. This is an electronic tachometer. It also has a memory built in, so when the car comes in from a practice run, the mechanic will hit this switch here for recall, and the needle will come up and show the highest RPM that motor had registered during that practice session. It's very handy for making gear selections and figuring out what gear ratio to run for the race.
And there we're looking at the gauges inside Jimmy Means' Alka-Seltzer Pontiac. The one on the right, the volt meter, reading about 14 volts. The water temperature gauge is next. It's reading about 200 degrees. And then we see the oil pressure gauge about 60 pounds straight up and down. There is the oil temperature gauge. It's only about 240 degrees. And there we see Terry Labonte slow down on the apron of the racetrack. Obviously, a problem with the Budweiser Ford.
He is coming into the pit area on lap number 69.
This would definitely be an unscheduled pit stop. I don't know what his problem might be, but Terry Labonte coming in awfully slow.
He's not under power. There's no power at all in the car.
Yeah, this is not a tire problem, I don't believe.
So the Junior Johnson machine is not in good shape. Jerry Punch may be able to tell us more. Jerry?
Well, apparently Terry is ready to enter the car just shut off, and he has no power. He is coasting very slowly down pit road. The matter was won 2 of the last 5 events on oval track. Will not have a shot at winning today. But the car now coasting very slowly toward his pit area. And down there, the Budweiser crew led by Tim Brewer, waiting and watching to see what the problem may be. We'll check back in a moment and find out what exactly the problem is. Bob?
Labonte, of course, will be leaving this team at the end of the '89 season to form his own. Who will drive for Junior Johnson? Well, it has not definitely been announced yet, but you can bank on Jeff 09.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assumption as they continue to work on that car. And we can see Junior Johnson there, the silver-haired fellow in the background. He has pulled his radio headset off. Don't know if that means that it's terminal as far as that car is concerned or just exactly what the situation is. Tim Brewer, fellow on the right, going around to look to see if they can see anything under there that they might be able to fix.
So Labonte, who was the winner at Talladega and the win at Pocono, is out.
There's Derek Cope, the 10 car, right in the middle of the screen, the red and white 10 car. Let's give a call for Derek Cope because we don't talk about this fellow too much, but he has got the Purelator Pontiac on the move. He just passed Morgan Shepherd. He's Ken Schrader's right in front of him. Also Mark Martin, the blue 6 up there. Derek Cope having a tremendous run today.
He is running very, very well. Another fellow that's running awfully well is one of the top rookie contenders, Hut Strickland, who started in the 26th position, and he's now up to 10th place.
So if you're just joining us here at Michigan International Speedway, we are live for the Champion Sparkplug 400 Winston Cup race. And to bring you up to date on what's happened so far, first of all, one of the big stories, that number 3 car that you see right there on your screen on the far right, that is Dale Earnhardt. He is already 2 laps down because of 2 unscheduled pit stops. We've had 1 caution period, that caused by Sterling Marlin as his car came to a rest up between turns 3 and 4. However, Sterling is back in competition. And as far as who's been doing well in this race, Rusty Wallace has been leading since just about the drop of the green flag. But as we mentioned, Derek Cope is certainly having a good run. He started 18th, was 12th at the end of 20 laps, moved up to 10th at the end of 60, and at the moment at the end of 72 laps, 5th, and he is just unbelievable.
He runs good at this racetrack. Nick, why? I don't understand why that you run good. Oh, we almost got too high that time trying to get by Mark Martin. but he runs extremely well at Michigan.
He did. A few years ago, he sat on the outside pole here, but only had one engine, and then didn't even get to start the race because he blew the engine in practice on Saturday afternoon. But he runs well here, and I guess he just has a good combination, a good feel for the racetrack, and he's got the thing hooked up and, you know, running with the best in the business here now.
We're watching out the back glass of Mark Martin, and he was just keeping right up. Let's go to Jerry Punch with an update on Terry Labonte.
Gentlemen, they've had the car with the jacks behind me. They're still talking to Terry Labonte here to determine what the problem may be. Let's get a comment from Junior Johnson to see what we can find out exactly what the problem may have been. Junior, what's wrong with the car?
Well, we don't know right now. We thought it, you know, it was the flywheel, but there ain't nothing wrong with the flywheel. He said he's going down straightaway and the motor raced up on it, so we got to think maybe something broke in the transmission or something.
Well, a tough break for Terry Labonte. Will certainly dispel a lot of their chances to have a good finish in the Winston Cup points. But let's go up pit road to Jack Arute.
Well, it should be no surprise, Jerry Punch, that this car, the Purolator Pontiac, is running so well. Buddy Barrett, a veteran of over 3 decades of Winston Cup competition, calls the shots. Buddy, you've got Derek hooked up today.
Well, you know, Derek's been waiting for a chance like this. He runs good at this racetrack, and we got a great engine in that car today, and all the crew did a good job. We just this morning put a fresh Purolator air filter and a fuel filter on that car.
Now, wait a minute, where'd the engine come from? Is it one of yours? Or
say right now?
You're not at liberty to say.
Well, I'll just say we are making plans next year to have all these engines in our car.
Well, let me explain to you why I asked him that question. The man that came by here to congratulate them running so well was Rick Hendrick. Could it be that he has a Hendrick motor beneath the hood?
Interesting. Jerry Cope is running in 5th spot, right behind Mark Martin in car number 6. Doing a fine job in the first 76 laps of this race.
You know, those guys can't do anything. Poor old Rick Hendrick just walks by and says, you guys are running good, and right away, we're making something of it.
The 75 and 25 cars are running behind Cope and Mark Martin. Look at him drive to the inside of the racetrack. Well, he leads Mark Martin as they cross the stripe. Let's see if he can hang on and take away 4th position from Mark. He does.
Well, I'll tell you, Bob Whitcomb, they got to have him tied down in the pits because he really gets excited when Bob Whitcomb is the car owner of this Purolator Pontiac number 10. And I think when we were here in June that he was up cheering, and Derek had a top 10 finish, one of the best finishes, in fact, the best finishes of the year. But I don't know if the guy can stand this now or not.
Hey, folks, you think I get excited. You're right. You ought to see Bob Whitcomb. I guarantee he's jumping up and down.
There's the 25 car of Ken Schrader. He is currently 7th. And we have Rick Hendrick down in the pit area. Jack?
Well, Bob, we're going to ask Rick Hendrick Benny Parsons' question. Is that a Hendrick Motorsports engine beneath the hood of Derek Cope's car?
Yeah, this is the first race we let him use one. We're working on a deal for next year. I just told him I'd like to have it back. No, I'm glad to see him have a shot. He's really doing a job. He might win this race.
There's some magnanimity down here on pit lane. Rick Hendrick sharing the wealth with some of the lesser teams.
So we know the answer to that question now, and there is Rusty. Oh, I'm having all kinds of problems with that. What's your name? Are you Benny?
I'm Ben.
Rusty Wallace leads the champion Spark Plug 400 here at Michigan International Speedway, and we'll be right back with more of our live coverage. Second round of scheduled pit stops have been completed, at least by those running up front. Mark Martin moving back out onto the racetrack, going up through the gears, keeping a very close eye on his rear view mirror because he's seeing back there Alan Kulwicki. He has beat Kulwicki out of the pits, and that's going to put Mark in pretty good track position.
He shifted in the 4th gear, but they have to stay on the apron of the racetrack, and he's not going fast enough in that gear. He upshifted the 3rd gear, got up a little more speed, and then back shifted in the 4th gear.
Well, a problem during that pit stop by Alan Kulwicki, Jack Arute can explain.
Well, Bob, during that pit stop, you needed to take on as much fuel as you possibly could. You know, we talked about it on Track Facts, that the catch can indicates when the tank is full. This is the catch can coming over the wall for Alan Kulwicki's car. It never got a full tank of fuel. This could be a costly error for this team later down the road.
Wow, you just got to do everything you possibly can. And here is a car who is apparently out of fuel, and Waltrip is pushing Rick Wilson. These two are very good friends off the racetrack, and obviously are also good friends on the racetrack.
How about that, folks? And you know, that is, oh, he almost spun him out.
Wow, that is unbelievable. And Waltrip stays out there, obviously knowing that he was not in a contention for the lead or anything. So let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Pole center Jeff Bodine gets his first green flag stop. Jeff Chandler, Waddell Wilson, and the crew now have changed right side tires. They're holding the car, getting fast up the field in. Bodine down and away. Great pit stop. You mentioned the Rick Wilson car coasting in. They were out of fuel. A number of cars now trying to stretch that fuel mileage here in the pit road.
All right, now before he came in, Jeff Bodine had dropped back to 13th position from his pole spot, and of course he's eligible for $129,200. Jeff Bodine in. Here is Derek Cope in for his pit stop as the clock is running in the upper right of your screen. Jack Arute is there to call this stop.
The Pierre-Later Pontiac has come to the service of the Buddy Parrott crew. In 15 seconds, they completed a change of right side tires and took on a full load of fuel.
Not a bad pit stop at all.
Not a bad pit stop, but there goes Mark Martin and the 7-car Alan Kowicki, but Darrell Waltrip still has not made a pit stop.
Well, he has proven many times in the past that they can get as good a gas mileage as anyone. And here they are again, running longer than anybody else out there, and that could make a big difference towards the end of this race.
So the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip is shown in the lead at the moment, and there is the Tide pit crew waiting for him to come in. In second position would be Ken Schrader, third, but none of those cars have stopped. Davey Allison is in, and Jerry Punch is there.
The Hamlin crew goes to work on Davey Allison's car. They will change right side tires and clean the windshield. Routine green flag pit stop here. They're pitting right behind Darrell Waltrip's crew. Waltrip's crew getting ready to bring him in. They would like for Davey Allison's car to be down and away. And now Allison's car does come off the deck and moves down pit road.
Still waiting to see if Darrell Waltrip comes in. He will not, but Ken Schrader, who was in second position, is in. And Jack Arute will call this stop.
And you can see the smoke coming out from beneath the wheel. The brakes actually have heated up, even though they haven't been used that much. Kenny Schrader taking right side rubber from the Folgers Coffee crew. They have completed their work. He takes on a full load of fuel, and he is off and away. A very quick green flag stop, gentlemen.
So he moves back out onto the racetrack. As you can see, Neil Bonnet coming in, and here comes the leader, Darrell Waltrip. Jerry Punch, here he comes. It's all yours.
Two-time Michigan winner, Darrell Waltrip brings the Tide Chevrolet down pit road. They will bring him in, the big red Tide sign, glaring in the window. Jeff Hammond, jack in hand. He scurries around to the right side of the car. Eddie Dickerson flailing with the air rinse, the right front tire. Sandy Jones now making a chassis adjustment here on the left side. They look at the left tire, but they seem to be okay. One can of fuel going in. Mike Powell shuffles the thing again over the wall. Time now dwindling as they're 42 car of Kyle Petty is in. It's a great pit stop. The Tide Chevrolet down and away.
Waltrip moves back out, and here is Kyle Petty also dropping the accelerator and moving back out.
And our leader now is Harry Gant. Leo Jackson, the engine builder on Harris car, must have him weaned because he still hasn't made a fuel stop.
Well, I think he's coming in right now. Harry Gant coming down pit road. He's the last of the front runners to make a pit stop.
We watch Kyle Petty move back up to speed down the backstretch after having successfully completed his second pit stop of the afternoon. Harry Gant is in, as we mentioned, and Jerry Punch is there again.
Leo Jackson led through now, changing right side tires. Andy Petrie, Charlie Preston in the crew. Now Leo Jackson holding him up, making sure they get all the fuel in the car. He drops the left arm. Gant drops the accelerator and heads down pit road.
There is Dave Marcus passing Harry as they move onto the apron of the racetrack. Again, staying below that yellow line. They have to stay well below it or they are penalized.
Now they did say, now you saw Gant go up just a little bit, but they did say, hey, if you get your wheels up there on air, go just a little bit out. As your momentum picks up, we won't penalize you. But if you get up completely straddle that yellow line or get above it, you're going to come back in.
There is Rusty Wallace, the leader of the race now. Right behind him is Ernie Irvin in car number 2.
Kroger Pontiac. Ernie Irvin qualified 13th this week. out-qualified Darrell Waltrip, but we'll go on down the list, out-qualified many of the super. Dale Earnhardt, he out-qualified Dale. So Ernie Irvin got a super run going here at MIS.
Yeah, I believe he's just gone a lap down to Rusty Wallace, but he has been running very good here today. And look at this battle between Alan Kulwicki and Mark Martin battling for the second position.
Kulwicki to the inside as they head for turn number 3. Martin pulls ahead just a little as they go into the corner, but a great battle for second. Here comes Alan Kulwicki battling back. Joe Ruttman is driving the number 83 car again this weekend, and he is somewhat holding up Mark Martin's progress as they come through here. Martin does have about a half a car length advantage.
Well, he might have held him up for a little bit, but then when Martin picked up his draft, that enabled him to pull around the car number 7 of Alan Kulwicki. Now he'll try to go to the outside and Joe Ruttman. Bullseye barbecue sauce Oldsmobile. Also late speed.
And Kulwicki one more time. He pulls up beside Martin. He's trying to get boxed in behind. And yes, Kulwicki has the spot. Jenkins, I'm going to ask those guys now to keep bringing up the mouth.
Average speed of the race, the end of 90 laps is 154.88 miles an hour. So in 10 more, we will reach the halfway point. Once again, we're watching this battle between Mark Martin and Alan Kulwicki as Martin has second at the moment. Now Kulwicki dives to the inside and passes Ruttman.
And Bob, the man that has owned this racetrack, Bill Elliott, you can see him on the right side of the screen, has just gone a lap down to Rusty Wallace. Wallace pulled around him a lap ago and now has put Dick Trickle, Dick Trickle, who is running right behind Bill Elliott. So Elliott having his problems here today. He was the class of the field here in June, but not today.
The man who virtually owns this racetrack is not having a good day. And again, we repeat that Dale Earnhardt has also had some problems here in the first half of the race and is 2 laps down.
We were watching that car number 83 of Joe Ruttman a moment ago. He has run out of gas and is coasting in off of turn 4. He stayed out there a little too long, I'm afraid.
Let's go down to Jack LaRoche, who can find out what's wrong with the Bill Elliott run here this afternoon.
Well, Bob, his brother Ernie Elliott's been in contact with him. Ernie, it looks as if the team just hasn't quite got the stuff here today. Did you miss the setup?
Nah, you know, the car was real good. It was real good in practice. It was good in the first of the race. You know, he just never tried to run hard. And apparently there's something wrong with it. We don't know if it's either wrong with ignition or close the plug up or something. It's just not running right now.
A lot of frustration here because they hope to do so well in front of their hometown folks. Remember, Harry Melling is the owner of this car.
From nearby Jackson, Michigan, the number 83 car moving on to the racetrack once again, but a lot of smoke coming from that machine.
The 48 car has a lug nut hung in the right front wheel of that car. I don't know if he's going to be able to get by. That's the 83 car Joe Ruttman we're looking at right now. The Greg Sachs car who pitted just in front of him was coming down pit road, and the right front tire was not rolling. The reason I know that, I had it happen to me up here last year. See,
there it is.
Watch him going very slow.
There's Rusty Wallace, the leader of the race, approaching the halfway point. There's the Greg Sachs car, and he's going to pull off the racetrack.
The tire is rolling now, so maybe it's another. But I saw the tire smoking as he was going down the pit road, like the right front tire was not turning at all.
Well, now he's going to back up and maybe go back into the race.
He thought there was a gate there, but there wasn't.
Well, Gabe had to find him another spot somewhere to pull in. Well, he's riding around in the grass out there. Greg Sachs, the dinner bell car. He's trying to get back around.
You know what that reminds me of, Ned? Me trying to leave a racetrack and avoid the traffic. Always going to oh, there it is. The right front tire falls off.
Greg obviously knew that something wasn't right on the right front of that car. He pulled off the racetrack and then decided that he might be able to make it back to the pit area, but he did not as the tires come on.
And caution is coming out.
Look, the tire's on fire.
Fire from that car.
The hub. The hub is the grease and the hub is on fire. What a shot. Guys, you are super. Wow. What a shot.
Now that thing's going to go up on that racetrack. Maybe not. Maybe it's slowed down enough now to stay down on the grass.
Yeah, so
we might have a grass fire right here.
So the yellow comes out on lap number 95, our second of the afternoon. Well, it hits some water and stops, and there's Harold Kinder displaying the yellow flag to Rusty Wallace and the others. So the yellow flag is out for the second time this afternoon. And And we will take another break and be right back with more of our live coverage from Michigan. Pit stops being made here as Rusty Wallace is on the top and Mark Martin on the bottom. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Rusty Wallace is currently racing now all 4 tires. Mark Martin about here screening. Exhale in, changing left 5 tires. Steve Mill in the turn. Now Martin running off the jack. He will scurry down pit road. 4 tire changes down here for the lead car. Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin. The mini cars coming in with the yellow flag and changing 4 tires.
All right, Jerry, we're watching everybody else peel out of the pits and make their way back onto the racetrack. Davey Allison pulls away. You can see Harry Gant still in the pits. Here comes Bobby Hillen, number 8 to the left of your screen. Richard Petty moves back out in the STP Pontiac. Here comes Gant alongside Jimmy Spencer. And there is the number 21 car. Now there is Greg Sachs giving us the thumbs up saying, I'm okay, but the car is without a right front tire.
You know, I saw the thing smoking going down pit road, and I thought a lug nut was hung in there, but I don't understand why that the tire went ahead and fell off because of that problem.
There's Jimmy Means, and for a pit stop, they're changing the right rear on that car.
They've got a problem back on the right rear of that car. There's too many people around the right rear just to be a simple tire change back there.
Now they appear to have everything okay. The jack drops, and Jimmy Means moves the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac back out onto the racetrack.
This is a brand new automobile, one of 3 new cars that he's had in, what, the last 10 or 12 years.
Great shot. Looking outside, going down the right front fender of the Jimmy Means car, going in turn 1, leaving pit road, staying under the yellow line.
Well, this is football country here in the Irish hills of southern Michigan, and what a better way to introduce our Hat of the Week with Benny Parsons.
This is undoubtedly the scariest and the worst wreck I've ever been in Winston Cup racing, and even with my Simpson full-face helmet, I still have a fat lip, a black eye. Maybe this is the kind of helmet I needed last week at Watkins Glen.
A Michigan State Spartan football helmet sent to us by Jill and Tom Harrington from Lansing, Michigan. And yes, folks, this is the Hat of the Week. And when I thought, what a better guy to help me do it than Jeff Bodine, who took such a hard lick last week and needed a helmet something like this. And there's a young man in Mooresville, North Carolina, Kirk Suttles, who's going to have a bone marrow transplant. They're trying to raise some money for him. And August 27th at Mooresville High School at 2 p.m., they're going to have a celebrity auction. Rusty Wallace has some things over there. Some of Buddy Baker's stuff is over there to auction off to raise money for Kirk. So this is where the football helmet's going. Mooresville High School, August 27th, 2 p.m. Go buy, bid lots of money, and maybe Jeff Bodine will wear it in a race sometime. Unfortunately, you won't be able to buy, as we look at Bill Elliott, you won't be able to buy that helmet over there because his owner, Harry Millen, bought the helmet yesterday for $125.
Let's go to Jackaroo.
Well, what they think is the problem with Bill Elliott's car is a faulty coil. Dan Elliott, Ernie Elliott, and the rest of the crew exchanged the coils, but now the car is still not running well. It's still misfiring, and now it seems to have caught fire and he's back out of the race, but we're about ready to go back to green flag action.
Yeah, we're going back to green flag, Jack, and he's already 1 lap down as the green flag flies on the front pack, and looked like Morgan Shepherd leading this race.
Some of those cars only changed 2 tires on that last stop. Rusty Wallace took on 4 tires, so therefore he's back behind Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, and a couple other cars.
Now Dale Earnhardt got 1 of his laps back, so he's only 1 lap down now. As the cars move back up to speed, and Morgan Shepherd leads them down the backstretch. We've completed 99 laps, and 1/2 lap we will complete the halfway mark. Ken Schrader in car number 25 runs in 2nd spot. Dale Earnhardt, remember, is still a lap down.
He made up.
Make one lap.
That's right. He did make up a lap on that last caution flag, and he looks like he's flying. Richard Gillis and the crew might have figured something out.
Schrader looking to the inside of Morgan Shepherd going into turn number 1.
Well, this is a couple of guys we haven't seen up front here today. Rusty Wallace has dominated this thing up to this point, but now Morgan Shepherd wanting to show his hand.
And speaking of Rusty Wallace, that 4th car, the white one, sneaking into the picture, that's him, Rusty Wallace, on the inside of Earnhardt. Nope, not able to make the pass, but believe me, folks, he will.
Here he is. Now, passes in the 3rd and 4th turns. The championship championship is at stake, and you take no prisoners when you're in a situation like this.
Yeah, the friendship goes out the window when they drop the green flag of the Winston Cup race.
Just some crystal clear pictures from inside Mark Martin's car.
The car that Mark Martin is inside of, Hut Strickland's Heinz 57 Pontiac, a great run for Hut today. He's up about 5th or 6th spot after about a middle of the pack qualifying session. So Hut Strickland, another driver that likes the MIS Speedway.
Still got 18 cars in the lead lane.
Actually, he's battling for 4th side by side. Now, here is the view from Harry Gant's car. And boy, does he have some traffic ahead of him. That's Bobby Hillin just ahead and Rick Wilson on the left.
Dave Marcus on the right, the Lifeboy Chevrolet in front of Bobby Hillin. There's Ricky Rudd up front, the Quaker State Buick. You're right, heavy traffic in front of Harry Gant.
He just doesn't have any place to go. He's looking and saying, well, which one of these guys is going to be the fastest, and I'll follow him. Now Rick Wilson seems to have the inside lane, but he's going to follow Hillin down there.
Well, it just emphasizes what you talked about early in the show, Benny, how the fact that this is a very wide racetrack and there's 2 and sometimes 3 abreast.
Look at that. I mean, what a great shot just to show what I was talking about, how easy it is to run side by side at this racetrack.
Ricky Rudd sliding high on the racetrack. There's Marcus also to the outside and Hillin in the middle. Now Harry Gant will try to go in the middle. No, he decides to go left. Look at this, 4 abreast here. And Jimmy Spencer tries to make it 5 abreast. Woo!
While we're watching all of that, Bill Elliott has just gone 2 laps down as Morgan Shepherd has moved around him. Elliott having his problems today.
There's a sign in Harry Gant's car. Good look here. Let's figure out what that's all about. Bobby Hillin trying to go back on the outside of Harry Gant again. One side by side. Harry on the inside groove. Bobby Hillin up on the outside groove. And Dave Marcus basically in the middle of the racetrack. So there's 3 bona fide grooves there.
You just hope that that other fellow beside of you, whether he's on the inside or the outside, don't make a wrong move. There's Bill Elliott down on the inside being passed by everybody. And here's a battle for the lead. Rusty Wallace is going to try to make it look easy.
Here is Rusty Wallace trying to once again take away the lead. Morgan Shepherd, the victim this time, but Morgan is hanging right in there, will not let Rusty have the lead without a battle. They're side by side into turn number 3. Rusty pulls ahead by about a half a car length, but Morgan still won't give up the spot, and now he successfully passes.
But look how that car works. It gets a bite off of the corner. He drives deep into the turn. He sticks down on the inside. I'm talking about Rusty Wallace's car, number 27. And then when he starts off of the turn, he can accelerate. The car doesn't slip, and he just drives right on by.
So the first 4 are Rusty Wallace, Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, and Mark Martin, and all those cars running nose to tail on the racetrack. 105 laps complete. We're glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon for our live coverage of the Champion Sparkplug 400. ESPN Speed World today at Michigan International Speedway in the Champion Sparkplug 400. This is the bumper cam on Harry Gant's car, and that is Jimmy Spencer in the number 88 Pontiac. Let's listen. Like from the grandstand as Harry Gant leads Jimmy Spencer. By the way, while we watch this, Bill Elliott's number 9 is headed for the garage area, and so is Jack Arute to get an explanation. But the action on the racetrack is hot and heavy at the moment. Look at this pack. There must be, what, 15 cars in here?
And some of those cars are a lap down. There's still 18 cars on the lead lap. For instance, the car number 88 of Jimmy Spencer is a lap down in that long green flag run. His car was not handling too good, but there's a number of those cars that are lap down, but still in there running hard. Neil Bonnet is a lap down in the car number 21.
Neil Bonnet started in 21. There's Ricky Rudd in 26. Harry Gant in number 33. Richard Petty is leading this group. Darrell Waltrip, then Jeff Bodine, then Dick Trickle, Brett Bodine, Derek Cope, all in this pack of about 15 cars.
And Richard Petty, the car in front, the STP Pontiac, is a lap down. Darrell Waltrip, the orange and white 17, is the first car in the lead lap, and that's 6th spot. So back from 6th, we'll probably go back to about 15th, 18th spot in that group of cars.
Alan Kowicki currently running, in the 7th position. Jeff Bodine is 8th, Kyle Petty 9th, Brett Bodine is 10th. 11th now is Derek Cope, 12th, Davey Allison, Ricky Rudd 13th, Rick Wilson 14th, Bobby Hillen 15th, Harry Gant was 16th, 17th. I said the 88 car was a lap down. That must be incorrect. And Dale Jarrett, last car on the lead lap, running in 18th place.
Great battle once again between Mark Martin and Alan Kowicki. These guys have battled their Fords side by side many times during the afternoon. They're battling for 3rd position at the moment. It's still Rusty Wallace leading in Morgan Shepherd 2nd, but 3rd place is tight.
We must have seen this shot 10 times today. These cars side by side. It's either one on the Mark Martin has been on the inside. This time it's Kowicki's turn, and Kowicki does take the spot away.
Now let's go to Jackaro, who's with Bill Elliott.
Well, Bill, you didn't want to be here, especially at this place, but what finally put you out? You did look at the ignition system, and that didn't seem to be the problem.
Well, things started running flat right off the bat, and I really don't know what it was. It just got worse and worse, and finally it just quit running. You know, the car was running so good yesterday afternoon, you know, and I had a lot of hopes for today, but what can you do?
Point standings, you went from all the way battling up to 5th in the points, and then you dropped back, you went to 4th, and points are so very important now. Does this really hurt you in the points chase?
Yeah, this is about it for us as far as points are concerned. You know, we're going to still run as hard as we can go from this point on. But like I said, I felt like we had a good car for today, and, you know, with stuff like this happening, there ain't a lot you can do about it.
We were kidding before we got on the air about usually how I have a bad week when he doesn't do too well out on the racetrack when I get back home. He's not going to have much of a good week either, because a real torture test is next Saturday night, and that's Bristol, Tennessee.
Well, the only thing about it, we'll try the best we can at Bristol, and good luck to you too.
Wow, an interesting comment there from Bill. He said that just about does it for us. I mean, we're only, 4 or 5 races past the halfway point, but the Winston Cup Championship can be decided when you have a bad race, as Bill has had.
When you have a bad race. But the advantage that he's going to have is Dale Earnhardt right now is having a bad day, because Earnhardt is back past 20th spot. And there's a race for 2nd place. Alan Kowicki passes Morgan Shepherd, takes 2nd away, and look, Rusty Wallace right in front of him. So Kowicki making a run to the front.
Yeah, it hasn't been too long ago, meaning that he was back in 7th place, and he is really coming up through the pack now.
Now Morgan Shepherd drifts high on the racetrack, and here comes Mark Martin to the inside. Now Jerry Punch has a comment on this number 75 car driven by Morgan Shepherd.
Morgan Shepherd is in jeopardy of losing the 3rd spot on the racetrack to Mark Martin. They are very pleased in the Shepherd pits of how well the car is running. This is the same car they had at Dover, Delaware. Then Shepherd blew an engine going into turn 3 and literally sawed the car in half. They had to rebuild the entire rear part of the car. They brought it here to Michigan. Weren't really sure how well the car would run, and they've been very pleased. They're currently in the top 5. They had lost down 3rd spot, and they moved a couple back and forth behind Mark Martin, but they're pretty pleased with the way the Raymock Valvoline Pontiac has run early on here.
As you watch our full field rundown here and who is running in what position, we're continuing to watch. There's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right there. Rusty Wallace, Alan Kowicki, Mark Martin, and Morgan Shepherd after 116 laps. We're showing you the field standings at the end of 105.
And one of those that was running in the top 18, Brett Bodine in the Motorcraft Ford, has just made a pit stop, and this would be an unscheduled pit stop for Brett.
Mark Martin and Morgan Shepherd continuing to go at it, and Morgan takes 3rd spot away from Mark.
Okay, well, those 2 Fords and Rusty Wallace has been there all day up front, and it looks like they're going to be there at the end of the race as well.
These guys that you're seeing now, Labonte, Sachs, and Elliott, all have dropped out of competition. Now, Mark Martin lost the position because the car got way high on him up in turn 4. Watch.
Wow, did it ever?
Man.
He almost got into the wall with the rear of that car. Good driving job. He bring you back down, but that opened the door for Morgan Shepherd to move back around.
When the car gets in the gray, you know it has a problem. Mark Martin continuing to run in fourth spot. We'll be right back. The car and driver, Tide Chevrolet, driven by Darrell Waltrip, that was 7th, is into the pits, and it's a serious problem. The hood is up on the car. And the 29 car of Dale Jarrett has some smoke pouring from it, and so Dale brings the Hardee's Pontiac in for a stop.
Every time he gets a good run going, Bob, something goes wrong, it seems.
Jack Arute is right there.
And a lot of smoke coming from beneath it. Doug Williams checking things over. Smoke just pouring out of the car. Checking. Doug, what seems to be the problem?
The pinion seal's out of the rear end, it appears to me.
So you're out of it?
Yes, we're out of it.
Let's check in with Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Little driver not having a great day, Jack, is Darrell Waltrip, currently 3rd in the Winston Cup points. He regulated to the car, just quit, just shut off on the racetrack. Began to miss. They're now trying to change the distributor in the car, possibly thinking they may have had a distributor problem, and they have already changed ignition. That didn't fix it. They're going to go with the distributor shaft and change that. So Waltrip losing a lot of valuable time. Another tough break for the Franklin, Tennessee driver.
So we are seeing now 3 out of the top 5 in points having trouble. Now there is the very lonely shot that Darrell Waltrip has on pit road. But we have seen Darrell Waltrip experience problems. Bill Elliott has experienced a problem. And of course, Dale Earnhardt, the Winston Cup points leader, also experienced a problem and is a lap down. So actually only 2 of those in the top 5 are doing what you would consider well here in the Champion Spark Plug 400. Well, this week's Winston Cup replay takes us back 18 years for a race here at Michigan International Speedway. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by the First Name and Filters, Purolator, exceptional protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. 1971, the grandstand is full for the Yankee 400 at Michigan International Speedway. Coming down for the green flag is Pete Hamilton on pole position, with Bobby Allison occupying the outside front row spot. Track action is furious, and so it is on pit road. Number 34, Wendell Scott comes in, and so does King Richard Petty, who will win here 3 years later. Number 11 is Buddy Baker in the Petty Enterprises Dodge. Number 12 is Bobby Allison in the Holman Moody Mercury. Petty joins the fight for the lead on the track's 18-degree banking. But Bobby takes command as Richard gets a little sideways, but saves it. Others aren't as fortunate. Allison goes on to beat Petty, Baker, Maynard Troyer, and Joe Frisson. It's Bobby's 2nd win at Michigan this year. And now we are live at Michigan International Speedway for the 1989 Champion Spark Plug 400. Now, here are the top 5 in Winston Cup points and where they are running on the track right at the moment. You can see that Darrell Waltrip and Bill Elliott are both out of the race, and the Winston Cup points leader Earnhardt is 18th. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who is with Darrell Waltrip, who dropped out of the race very short time ago.
A tough afternoon for this man, Darrell Waltrip, who started back in the pack and looked to have a great run going, Darrell. Then it all came up for naught. What put you in the garage first?
I think we may have broken something in the valve train, a cam or a chain or something like that. Mom, we're not having a good day, are we? I hate it. You know, this is a real pivotal race. I felt in the championship. And I think you see right behind me the 2 contenders that may just have bitten the bullet. This is a tough pill to swallow, but thank the Lord for a safe race, and wish we'd have finished better, but that's the way it goes.
The car really came from the back of the pack at the beginning of the race, Darrell. The team running so well. You think you might have been able to handle Rusty of the day, progressed a little better for you?
Yeah, we were just chasing the racetrack right now and changed the tire stagger and went the wrong way, and then we were going to adjust back the other way. The car was plenty fast, and we just wanted to get to the end. We wasn't running all that hard and had a lot of horsepower, but all for naught. The car's out of the race, and you know, we'll get them next week. We got Bristol, and then we got the $1 million race, so maybe this won't happen then.
Get all that bad luck out of the way early. The Winston Million coming up at Darlington, and a track that Darrell Waltrip runs very well next Saturday night prime time on ESPN in Bristol, Tennessee. Bob?
Rusty Wallace, this is not Bob, this is Benny Parson, but Rusty Wallace is trying so hard now. I'm watching him go through the corners. That's Jim Salter there in the Group 44 car. But Rusty Wallace, oh, is he trying so hard, driving awfully hard, sideways off the corners.
Well, the number 44 car driven by Jim Sauter. This is the Group 44 machine prepared by Bob Tullius. Last weekend, Jim overcame a couple of problems and finished in 9th position and currently finds himself 23rd here at Michigan.
They really have run good since they come on as a new team, Bob, and they're going to run a pretty aggressive schedule for the rest of the year. Going to run most of the races.
Not only a new team, but Bob Tullius has road racing experience, not Winston Cup experience. So this is all new for his entire team. Jim Sauter is a good race car driver and has been around for a while, but it's all new for Tullius and his mechanics. And I think that you're right. What they've been able to accomplish so far has been very good.
One thing that you don't see on the side of that car is a big sponsor, and they're looking for that, and hopefully they'll get one and run all the races next year.
He is 2 laps down, by the way. Jim Sauter in car number 44. There's the 75 car, driven by Morgan Shepherd. Jack Arute, what do you know about this car?
Well, Bob, one of the things that I talked to Bob Rahili and Butch Mock here, talked to them about the setup on the car. You heard Jerry talk about how fast it was off the truck. Throughout the course of this race, they have made no major chassis changes. They said we gambled early on that the track would come to us. Now, there's one man that's watching back in Daytona Beach, Florida, is extremely excited by the run by this Valvoline car. He calls a lot of the motorsport shots for Valvoline. He's been in the hospital for over 8 days. He was just released today. He's on the mend. His name is Tim Sullivan. Up and down pit road, a lot of people remember the jovial Sullivan. He was the man that was instrumental in starting the Motor Racing Network and has moved on to Valvoline, calling the shots, as we said. He's on the mend after some arterial problems, and all of us here on pit road want to say, get well, Timmy, and come on back here.
All right, and we see the leaders moving into traffic. Both Rusty Wallace and Alan Kowicki sliding high and passing the number 14 car. No, that is not A.J. Foyt. It's Tracy Leslie driving that machine, and Eddie Bierschwel in car number 23.
Now watch Rusty Wallace go up high on this racetrack, right up against. He didn't do it this time. I can't believe he did that to me. Man, I'm going to talk to Rusty. Every lap he's been going right against the wall sideways. That time he didn't do it.
Well, he's sort of searching around to see if he can find a spot that's a little bit quicker.
Anyway, Rusty leads, and Kowicki is right there in 2nd position. Mark Martin is 3rd, Morgan Shepherd 4th, and Ken Schrader running 5th.
And pit stops will be coming up before too long, Bob, perhaps in the next 5, 6, 7 laps.
Gary Cotrill still running in 6th position. 7th is Hut Strickland. 8th is the pole sitter, Jeff Bodine, who, of course, is the only one eligible for $129,200 in Unical bonus money. 9th is Ricky Rudd, and 10th is Rick Wilson. Here comes Wallace and the others off the 4th corner.
When we talk about pit stops, we understand that Mark Martin might be coming in the next couple of laps. So we're looking out the front window, the windshield of Mark Martin as he runs in the 3rd position. Ricky Rudd coming down pit road right now in the Quaker State Buick. And we'll watch Mark Martin because he is scheduled to come in before long as we watch Rudd come in for a change of right side tires. Thanks to Unical gasoline, and Jerry Punch is there.
Larry McReynolds and the crew changing right side rubber as they're getting the car service just in front of where they're waiting for the Jack Roush car. Steve Mill talking to his driver, Mark Martin, as Ricky Rudd's car gets back into gear. It comes off the jack. Here comes Mark Martin down pit road. The 3rd place car. Martin brings the 4th down pit road, and we'll get ready for service here. About 2 laps away from the pit stop for the leader, Rusty Wallace. Martin's moved on. Robin Pemberton, Steve Mill, going to work on the right side of the car. First can of fuel in. They're cleaning the windshield. Discussion, Mark Martin on the radio with team owner Jack Roush. They are making a chassis adjustment in the right rear window of the car. Now the car with jacks. They are finishing the fueling of the car. They just come out and got the air wrench, a lug wrench stuck inside the right rear window, but they have that down and away. Now Earnhardt coming in, and now Rusty Wallace's crew waiting for the lead car to come down pit road.
Here's Dale Earnhardt stopping for some fresh tires and some fuel, and Rusty Wallace is also pit bound. The leader, Rusty Wallace, is in for his 3rd scheduled stop of the day. Jerry.
Harold Elliott brings that Pontiac to a stop. Jimmy May car. changing the right front tire. Mary Dotson has the jack, of course, and working. One can of fuel in, the second can of fuel now going in the car. John Dotson getting in the rear of the car. He's off the jack. 11.8 seconds. Great pit stop for the Kodiak crew.
And did you see how nonchalant they went about that, Bob? Barry Dotson looked like he was just jacking up the car in the garage area, standing there watching the car. 12-second pit stop.
Poetry in motion for that team as they got everything done in a very short time, and now Rusty blends into traffic on the backstretch. That puts Alan Kowicki in car number 7 in the lead, but he'll need a pit stop shortly.
Yeah, he should be coming in the next 3 or 4 laps. Rick Wilson coming in now in the Kodak Film Oldsmobile. Rick running in the 10th position at last count.
There is Rick. There's one can of fuel being tossed across the wall and the other one now being put in.
That was a good pit stop. Tony Glover changing the right front tire, so he's on his way back into the thick of the battle. And Kowicki still staying out on the racetrack.
Indeed he does, although Morgan Shepherd, who was in the top 5, is in. Jack Arute will call this stop.
And Morgan Shepherd hits the marks. They're going to the right side, cleaning the windshield on the Valvoline Pontiac. Shepherd of Conover, North Carolina, sitting, revving the engine, keeping it up, keeping the revs up as they continue the work. They've completed the work on the right side. They're taking out fuel. He puts it back in gear in 15.5 seconds. He's away.
Morgan Shepherd, the Valvoline Pontiac, back out onto the racetrack. And here is Kowicki. Let's see if he makes the stop. Yes, indeed. He drops off the 18-degree banking in turn 4, and Jack Arute, here he comes.
And Bob, he's the last of the front runners to come onto pit road. The team is waiting patiently for him. He locks the car up, comes to the marks nicely. They fill the fuel. Union 76 gasoline going in. The first tank is just about done. Remember, we told them early on they're making a chassis adjustment on the car. They said that they wanted to loosen the car up some more. They have done that. They are making absolutely sure, as Ken Schrader is your leader, the car is full. It is, and in 16.6 he's away.
We're on lap 140. We've got 60 laps to go. They'll need another one, won't they?
Yes, they will have to make another stop. They'll have to have some more fuel. They can't go the rest of the way. What fuel they have now.
Kenny Schrader is the leader in car number 25. That's the number 14 car again, and it's driven by Tracy Leslie, the ARCA driver, and substitute for A.J. Foyt, who is running the IndyCar race at Pocono today. We've had 10,999 lead changes in modern Winston Cup history. One more and we'll break the 11,000 mark. Will it happen? We'll be back to answer that question in a moment. The Winston Cup Series first competed here at Michigan International Speedway in 1969. We're back today for live coverage of the champion Sparkplug 400. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement. By the Die Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. By First Brands Corporation, makers of STP Son of a Gun Protectant. And by Levi's 505 and 506 jeans. Third scheduled set of pit stops underway. Jack Arute is there for the Ken Schrader stop.
And Bob, this is going to be a costly stop for Schrader. They were only going to take right side tires, but they were afraid they had a blistered left rear. Dennis Conner checked it over. They did, and he had to take on all 4 tires, and this is costly on the green. Precious seconds lost.
And Jack, again, when Schrader came in, a lot of smoke there on the left front tire.
Actually, Bob, it's actually coming down by the rotor and the brakes. Now, I'll check with Dennis Conner, but they don't seem at all concerned about it. As we watch Derek Cope comes out of pit road, the Purolator Pontiac doing very, very well right now.
All right, we'll watch the action on the Derek Cope car as they work on the right side. Changing the tires over there. You can see the fuel being put in at the left rear of the machine. Checking over the left side, but they will make no change of tires there. They send Derek Cope back out onto the racetrack.
little less than 16 seconds for his pit stop. And Jimmy Spencer, who now has moved up into the 3rd place, his crew's trying to get him in. Apparently the radios are not working on the car number 88 as we see Derek Cope go back out into the action. And rookie contender Hut Strickland has taken over the lead. He is not coming now. Jimmy Spencer does come down pit road, so he got the message. But the car number 57, the Heinz car number, the Pontiac, is leading this race as we see Spencer come into the pits, almost overshot his pits.
He had to climb on him, didn't he?
Those guys been scrambling across pit road for the last 2 or 3 laps, just waving to him, please come in the pits, evidently. And we see the fellow reading in the rear window. He is making a chassis adjustment on the Jimmy Spencer car.
And who's in the lead? It's Hut Strickland in the Heinz 57 machine. Now, with that series of pit stops, we have had our 11,000th lead change in modern Winston Cup history. That's since 1972.
Well, that tells you something about the competition that we see in Winston Cup racing.
You know, I was reading something here yesterday that in 1981, in this very race, there was 65 lead changes.
Right.
And there's only 200 laps in the race, so, you know, every 3rd lap there was a lead change.
There you can see that the 10,000th lead occurred in the 1988 Daytona 500. Bobby Allison made the pass. The 9,000th came at North Wilkesboro in 1986, and the 8,000 came in 1984. Now notice that the 10,000 was in 88, and just a little over a year now we've had the 11,000, and here is the 10,000. That's Bobby Allison in car number 12, passing Ken Schrader, and making it 10,000 lead changes. Of course, Bobby passed son Davey here and went on to win the 1988 Daytona 500. Now, here is Hut Strickland in for his 3rd stop of the afternoon. Jackaroo cars away already.
Yeah, but they had a very close call, Bob Jenkins. They had one man too many over the wall. The NASCAR official, Mike Chaplin, caught the infraction, told the man that he was in violation. He hopped back over the wall. That could have been costly, maybe a stop-and-go penalty.
Strickland being passed on the outside by the 5 car of Jeff Bodine, and the leader of this race is the 33 car of Harry Gant, and we're riding with him.
Yeah, you know, before when they made a long green flag run, he got better gas mileage than anyone else, and he's staying out there again. As a result, he's picked up the lead.
Richard Petty is just ahead of him. If you're just joining us at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, we welcome you to our live coverage of the Champion Spark Plug 400 Winston Cup race from Michigan International Speedway. The number 33 car of Harry Gant leads. Rusty Wallace, who has led most of this event, is in 2nd spot. Now, Harry will need a pit stop here momentarily. Alan Kowicki 3rd. 4th place is the 6 car of Mark Martin as Harry Gant moves into pit road, and Jerry Punch will call this stop.
Veteran Winston Cup driver Harry Gant brings the Skoll Oldsmobile down pit road, trying to get the car wound down. The gears, they pull the brakes, and the crew are going to work on the right side of the car, changing right side tires. Charlie Presley, Andy Petrie, and the rest of the crew. Leo Jackson also cleaning the windshield. 2nd can of fuel going in the car. They finish changing the tires. They're waiting to get all the fuel in the car. Maybe they can go the rest of the way. 16, 18 seconds. 18.8 seconds to Ricky stop, and they got it completely full of fuel.
Very big close, but there's a possibility he might go. That's only about 102 miles to go, and he's been getting very good gas mileage here.
Wow, that's something that we'll definitely have to watch for. He may have enough fuel to go the rest of the distance. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace has the lead once again here in the Champion Spark Plug 400. Jerry, what's your comment on Rusty Wallace?
Very interesting. We saw the Rusty Wallace pit stop with 11.8 seconds. However, the reason the stop was so quick, they didn't wait to get the 2nd can of gasoline in the car. And the reason they didn't wait is because they were concerned about possible rain. They said, we don't want to wait to get the car fuel. We may have to stop a lot earlier than someone else, but we want to stay out front. If it rains, we'll be able to get the victory.
Plus the fact, Jared, they were definitely going to have to make one more stop.
Rusty Wallace continues to lead.
Let's take a look at the top 15 at the end of 153 laps. The leader is Rusty Wallace. Alan Kowicki is 2nd, followed by Mark Martin, Morgan Shepherd, and pole sitter Jeff Bodine. 6 through 10, Hut Strickland, Rick Wilson, Derek Cope, Ken Schrader, and Ricky Rudd. In 11th position at the moment is Harry Gant. Davey Allison is 12th. Jimmy Spencer 13th. Dick Trickle 14th. And Richard Petty is in 15th position. But again, we'll repeat that Harry Gant went 53 laps between his pit stops, and he came in with 52 laps to go. So he could go the rest of the distance without a fuel stop, and everybody else is going to have to come in, including Rusty Wallace.
Well, exactly, because Rusty Wallace had the quickest pit stop of all, which means that he probably got less gas in that Kodiak Pontiac than anyone else did. So he'll probably have to pit before anyone.
Well, there's one problem that Gant has. Not too far in front of Rusty Wallace, we see on the screen, is Harry Gant. He is almost a lap down. We'll see him here in just a moment. That's a red car there right in front of Rusty Wallace, but not too far in front of that red car is Harry Gant.
So he could go a lap down. Just to continue to update you on what has happened so far here this afternoon, Bill Elliott is out of the race, and the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt, the Winston Cup points leader, has not had a very good day, as he is now currently running in 16th position, and Darrell Waltrip, also in the top 5 of Winston Cup points, is out of competition. Their second place car of Alan Kulwicki, the CX-4.
Bob, let me correct myself. That was not Harry Gant that was directly in front of Rusty Wallace. It was another car that was painted up similar to his, so I apologize to Harry Gant and all of his fans. He's not about to be left.
Let's do an interview here and see how much of a lead Rusty has on Alan. It's about 4.4 seconds.
Alan Kulwicki right now is the fastest car on the racetrack. He made a pit stop, and on his last pit stop, he ended up a straightaway behind Rusty Wallace. And he has gained probably a quarter of that straightaway back. There we see Rusty in the middle of the straightaway as Alan Kulwicki comes off the corner. So Alan Kulwicki is gaining.
And Jack Arud is with Paul Andrews in the Kulwicki pit.
Bob, remember we told you that they loosened the car up on that last stop. It seems to have done the trick for the car, Paul.
Well, what we've done is just loosen the car up a little bit and try to get the car a little bit faster. Right now, everything's just fine. The Xerix AC4 Thunderbird, hopefully it'll make it all day.
Now, what about fuel consumption? You will have to make another stop, will you not?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. We sure will have to make another stop. Hopefully we'll have a caution. We can get in and get out real good.
Well, that could be the dramatic finish here of the Champion Sparkplug 400. Who has to pit and who doesn't?
And those questions will all be answered in 43 more laps. We're on lap number 157. 157 laps completed. It's Alan Kulwicki running in second position as we widen out here and show you the leader, Rusty Wallace, and the amount of racetrack there is between these two. Wallace has, for the most part, dominated this race. He has not led all the way, but he has been out front most of the time. In third position is Mark Martin in the Strollite Ford, and we're riding with him.
And he took a little extra time when he made his pit stop. The wrench got hung up as they were making a chassis adjustment on his car, so he got a little farther behind on that pit stop.
Well, you know, we talk about pit stops and what a team sport that automobile racing is. There's only one person that we talk about, and that's the driver. Martin Martin, we're looking at him make that car go around the corner now, but it is a team sport. And I think that pit stops, clearly, the last pit stop that was made, it just shows you how important it is. Because these three cars, Mark Martin, Alan Kulwicki, and Rusty Wallace, were running right together. They made their pit stop, and Rusty Wallace ended up with almost a straightaway lead simply because of a great pit stop by Barry Dodson in that car.
Well, there's just a great shot of Mark Martin as he maneuvers that race car around the 2 miles.
And we have a report that there might be a problem with the left front tire on Rusty Wallace's car.
Well, let's see if that develops. He has, as Benny has indicated many times, drifted up high in the 4th corner many times. He did that time. He stays out there on the racetrack.
It seems to be going pretty well, but he has taken that high groove, as Benny pointed out a little bit earlier, as he comes up on these two cars running side by side. That's Eddie Beersball in car number 23, Tracy Leslie in car number 14, but they separate and give Rusty plenty of racing room.
Doesn't appear as if he slowed down any.
No. And I'll tell you, of course, the left front would be the best place to have a flat tire if you're going to have one, but it would affect the handling of the car the least. But Benny, if it was, it probably would be pushing up in the turns a little bit.
Yes. Well, our indication is that Rusty is calling for a right in front on the radio, so he may not be sure which one is going down. This may develop into a 4-tire change, and that would be costly.
Yeah, apparently they're not sure of which tire is giving the problem. How about it, Jerry?
A lot of discussion in the Rusty Wallace pit as to exactly what may be the problem. Let's get a comment from Harold Elliott here. Harold, what is Rusty telling you on the radio? What's the problem with the car?
Everything's fine, Jerry. He just says we're trying to decide whether to change right side tires or change left, which would benefit us best on this next stop. So that's what we're talking about right now.
Does he possibly have a tire going down? The car's been drifting way up in the corner.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think it's just the bad matchup the tires have got right now because it's a green flag stop, and we just didn't get it staggered just quite right.
There's a lot of concern in Rusty Wallace pit, not only about tires, but primarily about the fact they know Harry Gant can make it the rest of the way without a pit stop. They will have to come in and pit around lap 185, but Gant can go the distance, and that concerns them. Remember what happened in June? Rusty Wallace was a strong horse. He led over 130 laps here, but he didn't win the race because of a last-minute pit stop. It could happen again to Rusty Wallace.
Well, to boil all this down, don't go away, friends, because we've got some drama to be played out here in the last, 38 laps now. And the report is that there are a few sprinkles of rain being felt down at turn number 1. I don't think it's going to be much of a concern, although our spotters down there are reporting a few drops of rain. But in any case, Rusty Wallace continues to lead the champion Sparkplug 400. It happened for the first time in 1985. Bill Elliott won $1 million. On Labor Day weekend at Darlington, Bill captured the Southern 500, giving him the 3rd win of 4 races that make up the Winston Million. Will the fireworks happen again this year? Darrell Waltrip has won 2 out of 4 and will go for it Sunday, September 3rd. 1 driver, 1 chance, $1 million. The Winston Million, the Heinz Southern 500 from Darlington, South Carolina, will be live at 12:30 Eastern Time on Sunday afternoon, September 3rd, and that will be part of Race Day America here on ESPN. If you like auto racing, be with us on September 3rd. Our Race Day America live coverage will include the IndyCar race at Mid-Ohio, NHRA National Drags from Indianapolis, Indiana, the IMSA race from San Antonio, and of course the Southern 500. And that's what, only about 3 weeks away, I believe, something like that. So
2 weeks from today.
Yep. So be with us. Rusty Wallace leads in the Kodiak Pontiac car number 27.
Looks to me like Alan Kowicki might be gaining a little bit. Ned, have you been clocking? Is he gaining?
He gained for a few laps. We'll put it on the next time around. He was about 4 4/10 seconds the last time that we had the ESPN clocks on him. We'll get Rusty as he comes off of turn 4 this time around and just see how it stands there. Rusty goes across the start and finish line. Kowicki indeed has cut it down to 2 seconds flat, so he is gaining.
Rusty Wallace lapping Richard Petty in car number 43 and Dave Marcus in number 71. Kowicki is second, Mark Martin is third, Morgan Shepherd fourth, and Jeff Bodine is running in 5th position as they go down the backstretch.
In watching the Kodiak Pontiac, it just appears as though Rusty's tires is just about gone. I don't know if it's that they might be worn out. The car is just not gripping the road like it did. Watch it up right against that guardrail. Doesn't seem to be gripping the road, Ned, like he did earlier.
Well, it might be the left side tires, Benny. When he pitted, he took on right side tires, so they are certainly a lot newer than the right side tires, but the left side tires have a great deal to do with how a car handles.
There are 18 cars, make up 13 cars on the lead lap, and the average speed of the race is 155.94 miles an hour, and Wallace is setting the pace. 168 laps completed.
Bob, those 13 cars that are on the lead lap, of course, are Rusty Wallace. Second is Alan Kowicki, third, Mark Martin. Morgan Shepherd is fourth, Jeff Bodine fifth, Derek Cope sixth, Rick Wilson seventh, Kenny Schrader is eighth, Hut Strickland ninth, Ricky Rudd 10th, Harry Gant right on his bumper for 11th, 12th is Davey Allison, and 13th is Jimmy Spencer.
Once again, we're inside Harry Gant's car, and that's Ricky Rudd just ahead of the Quaker State Buick.
Now they're running about 28.5 seconds behind Rusty Wallace. We talked about the fact that Gant might be able to go the rest of the way. I think he's the only one in the lead lap that might be able to go the rest of the way as far as fuel is concerned, but he's 28.5 seconds behind. Rusty Wallace might be able to get in the pits, get some fuel, and still get back out in front of him.
So we're watching 10th and 11th here. Ricky Rudd is in 10th. And Harry Gant in 11th spot.
How about the 57 car, Hut Strickland? Is he going to be able to make it the rest of the way?
Well, he might, because he came in, I think, just one lap before Harry Gant did, so he might be able to go the rest of the way, and he's sitting up there in the 9th position.
You know, it's interesting as we hear these cars go around the corners. The Indy cars here are flat out all the way. Not so with the stock cars.
Oh no, you have to back off the throttle. They don't use the brakes going in the corner, but at least backing off the throttle and backing off quite dramatically.
Continuing to watch Ricky Rudd and Harry Gant, 10th and 11th. Meanwhile, it's back up front to Rusty Wallace as he passes Kyle Petty and puts him another lap down.
Yeah, Kyle's been having some problems with the peak antifreeze Pontiac. He's running on about 7 cylinders out there.
Had a great run in the early going, but problems have developed on that Peak-sponsored car, and Kyle Petty dropping off the pace.
Alan Kawicki has a problem. I don't know what's happened, but he's backed up. He's going backwards. Well, this is Rusty Wallace we're watching going around the race. There, we see Alan Kawicki, Mark Martin, the 3rd place cars, and Kawicki moves over.
And it's pretty obvious that something is wrong with the Alan Kawicki car, and here comes Mark Martin to go into 2nd, and now he begins the chase of Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, evidently he's lost a cylinder or something because it seems so well. I don't know. He might have a flat tire.
That's what he looks like. So the tire might be going down because he went high, very high in the corner, much higher than he normally has been in the corners.
Let's see if he's thinking about making a pit stop.
Oh, poor old Alan Kawicki. I thought he might have something going for him after 9 weeks of just unbelievable bad luck, and once again he has a problem.
Let's go to Jackaroo.
We can give you the report on the problem in Alan Kawicki's car. It seems I checked with Paul Andrews. He says Alan reports that there is a problem in the valve train. It's something in the engine. It's misfiring. He's not running at all 8 cylinders.
So Alan drops to 3rd position and will probably lose even more before this race is over.
What did that graphic say earlier? 6 engine failures in the last 9 races. So now we've got 7 engine problems in the last 10 races. So.
All right, let's take a look at our Napa race summary. Leader Rusty Wallace has led 128 of the 160 laps, average speed 155.940. 9 leaders, 15 lead changes. We've had 2 caution periods for 9 laps, and neither caution period was for anything serious. 13 cars currently on the lead lap at the end of 173 laps. Those who have led: Rusty Wallace, Alan Kawicki, Michael Waltrip, Darrell Waltrip, and Harry Gant. Morgan Shepherd, Hut Strickland, Derek Cope, and Ken Schrader. Now, those who have dropped out of competition include Terry Labonte, Greg Sachs, Bill Elliott, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Jarrett, and Brett Bodine. 2 of the top 5 in points are out of this race, and Alan Kawicki continues to hold on to 3rd. As Rusty Wallace continues to set the pace. Oh, he's dropping down off the banking. He's coming in. Rusty Wallace is coming in. Jerry Punch.
Well, the tires just going away. They could not afford to take a chance of possibly cutting or blowing a tire, so they went ahead and bring him in about 8 or 9 laps early. Lap 174, 26 to go, and the leader is on pit road. Right side tire going in Rusty Wallace's car. It'll be a 2-tire change only. Rusty revs the motor up. 1 can of fuel going in. 2nd can of fuel going in. Great pit stop. 10.8 seconds. The Kodiak crew has him down and away with a 2-tire change.
It's about as quick as you can make a 2-tire change and get some fuel in the car, and Rusty builds back up speed. Mark Martin is the leader of the race. Looks like he's on a Sunday afternoon drive, but you know he's got some stuff going on the inside of him.
Yeah, don't you, Mark Martin, folks, this fellow that you're riding with has never won a Winston Cup Stock Car race. And here he is leading the Champion Spark Plug 400 with just 25 laps to go. And you know when Jack Rouse calls on the radio and says, Mark, pit, that's going to be the awfulest words he ever heard in his life. He don't want to pit. He wants to stay out and win this race.
But I think he will have to pit. I don't believe he can go the rest of the way.
Well, remember the debacle that he ran into at Daytona when he was leading the race and ran out of fuel with 10 laps to go. He finished 16th in that race, but since then, the last 3 events, he has finished 3rd, and 2nd. Ricky Rudd is in the Quaker State Buick. This car has led the movement onto pit road by many of the leaders. Jerry Punch.
Ricky Rudd's Quaker State Buick getting service here. They will change the left side tires of Ricky Rudd's car. The left side tires are already gone. They have put 1 can of fuel in down the deck, out of the way. Good pit stop for Ricky Rudd. And Martin is coming in. We are here with the Strohs right forward. Martin currently running in 2nd, was the leader, now comes on pit road. We'll trying to beat the 10.8-second stop of the Kodiak crew of Rusty Wallace. Right side tires, Robin Pemberton. A major chassis adjustment on the right rear. Out of the way. 12.2, the car stalled. Flies out of gear. Now he gets the car back in gear. Lost about a second and a half here in the pits. He is down and away.
I think Mark Martin had the car in neutral. Didn't have it in first and left the clutch out. One reason he was slow getting out.
That cost him a couple of extra seconds. Morgan Shepherd now has taken over the lead in the Valvoline Pontiac, but he should have a pit stop coming up before too long himself.
Morgan Shepherd last week, the pole sitter at Watkins Glen. There's Alan Kowicki in car number 7.
He is the leader
at the moment, but here comes Shepherd, and he is just about to take the lead away from Kowicki, I believe. There is Allen. Again, has developed an engine problem on that car and is dropping back.
Well, I tell you what, there's going to be some dice roll here in the next 20 laps because there is some people that's going to gamble that they can go without running out of fuel. 75?
75 car to see if it drops off the banking and comes in for a pit stop. It will not. It will stay out.
Dale Earnhardt, our Winston Cup point leader, is in the pit stops. He is 2 laps down to these cars on the racetrack. Morgan Shepherd takes the lead away from Alan Kowicki. Bobby Hillen behind Kowicki. Bobby Hillen is a lap down.
You know, we were talking earlier about Harry Gant not having to make a pit stop. Rusty Wallace has already made a pit stop, came back out in front of Harry Gant on the racetrack.
Let's go to Jerry Punch in Rusty Wallace's pit.
You know, sometimes the crew chief just thinks something may be wrong with the car. He wants to bring him in a few laps early. They had a special sixth sense about Rusty Wallace. They pitted 7 laps early, and look what they found. This was the right front tire. Another 4 or 5 laps, and Wallace could have been in the wall, and his day would have been over with. A great call by Harold Elliott and Barry Dodson. Let's go up to Jack Arute to call the Morgan Shepherd pit stop. Jack?
Well, Jerry, your leader is on pit road. Morgan Shepherd, they tried to call him in for 2 consecutive laps. He was so euphoric about taking the lead, he stayed out there. But the Raymont crew is going to work on the Valvoline Pontiac. Changing right side rubber. They filled the tank with Union 76 fuel. They dropped the gas. Jack, and he is away. Now, that's a stop by your leader. You've talked about Harry Gant not having to make a stop. We checked with Doug Reichert in the Heinz 57 car. They will not have to make a stop either. So Hut Strickland is out there all by himself rolling the dice to the end of this race. Maybe he could come up front too.
Well, we've got 20 laps to go, and virtually anything can happen in these last 20 laps. Alan Kowicki, there he is in car number 7, has not made his final pit stop and is the leader at the moment. We're inside Harry Gant's number 33 Skoal Bandit Oldsmobile. Can he go the distance and win the Champion Spark Plug 400? We'll be back in just a moment. We are back live at Michigan International Speedway, where Rusty Wallace in car 27 has just taken over the lead from the number 5 car of Jeff Bodine, and Bodine has yet to make his final pit stop. Here is how it happened, and it was rather dramatic.
Well, Rusty, of course, has made his pit stop, has new tires on the right side. He pulls up off of turn 4, up on the outside of Bodine, and Bodine is already pretty high, and they almost touch, but he gets by.
Bodine almost spun trying to get out of Rusty's way because he felt Rusty Wallace on the outside of him and tried to pull away from him, and that's why the car wiggled as dramatically as it did. And look at Derek Cope, right behind Rusty Wallace, still has a super run going this afternoon, currently in 4th spot.
Well, make that 3rd spot. Rusty now is the leader, Jeff Bodine 2nd, and Derek Cope in 3rd. However, car number 5, Jeff Bodine and Derek Cope have not made a pit stop yet, and probably will have to have a little dash of fuel.
Jerry has a comment on Jeff Bodine.
Well, they are waiting to bring Jeff Bodine down pit road. Our pole center was hoping to be able to get the victory today, pick up all the Unical Challenge money, but that was not to be. He knows he can't quite run Rusty Wallace, so they're going to do a gas and go. Waddell Wilson standing on pit road now with the pit board, waving it for Jeff Bodine, watching and waiting for his driver to make an entry on the pit road. Laps winding down. Waddell now brings Bodine down pit road for his final pit stop. It'll be gas and go only. Gaskin now going in the car, revving the motor, trying to get a little fuel in the car, and he jumps 10.8 seconds. He is down and away.
4.8 seconds for Jeff Bodine, and
How much gas you think that is, Ned? Half a can or maybe a whole can of fuel?
I doubt if they got a whole can in it. Probably didn't need a full can of fuel in. As we see Bodine go back out, and Davey Allison just came in, did the same thing, just took on some fuel in his car. Hopes to go on the rest of the way.
We understand that Derek Cope in car number 10 is going to do the same thing. Just a quick stop, splash, and go. Jeff Bodine will probably not collect the Unocal bonus money of $129,200. So when we go to Bristol next Saturday night, it'll be worth $136,800.
And we understand that the 10 car of Derek Cope is setting up for a gas and go stop, trying to get himself another top 10 finish here at Michigan. Derek Cope has run a very good race here today, and he's running in second place right now behind Rusty Wallace. That's the red car you see there behind Wallace.
He's going to stay out. Derek Cope's best career finish was 9th. He did that twice in his career. Here's Mark Martin.
Rick Wilson about to blow going into turn 1 in the Kodak Film Oldsmobile as we watch Mark Martin.
Mark Martin lost a cylinder apparently when he over-revved the engine coming out of the pits. Let's listen.
You hear Mark Martin's car sputtering there on the in-car camera and microphone. What happened is Mark Martin was completing his pit stop. The car flew out of gear. You heard it while we were calling to stop the car. Over-revved, flew out of gear. Martin had to cram it back in first gear, but just enough with the high RPMs, the Foxman breaker rocker arm, whatever. They have lost a cylinder. Tough break for the Roush Racing team.
So Mark Martin will wait another day to win his first Winston Cup event.
And there's Rick Wilson down on the inside. A lot of smoke came from his car as he went into turn 1. He's just coasting around now, but apparently the engine let go on that car as we get back on Rusty Wallace, who's running flawlessly right now.
He is indeed. He has pretty much dominated this race here this afternoon. He was 4th in Winston Cup points coming into this event, some 155 behind the leader Dale Earnhardt, and will make up some ground this afternoon if he continues to set the pace and to win. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Bob, you've said that Derek Cope's team, led by Buddy Parrott and Joe Dan Bailey, were going to do a gas and go. It's begun to sprinkle intermittently here on pit road, so they changed their tactics just a bit. They are now trying to run the string out a little bit further. But now it seemed to have cleared up, and they don't feel they can go much further. They are going to call them in for the gas and go.
And that will come with about 10 laps to go because we're on lap 189 as we follow Derek Cope down the backstretch.
Kenny Schrader just made a quick gas stop in the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet, and let's see if Derek Cope is going to come in this time in car number 10. Running in second place, but he stays out there one more time.
Yep, he's staying out there. 10 laps to go. 190 are complete. So can Derek Cope go the rest of the distance and wind up second? Well, there are a lot of unanswered questions here, but we'll be back for the final 10 laps after this. There are less than 7 laps to go in the Champion Sparkplug 400 at Michigan International Speedway. Rusty Wallace, who won here in 1987, the Miller 400, is the leader. If he should win today, it will be his second consecutive Winston Cup win. He won last weekend at Watkins Glen. Running in second spot at the moment is Harry Gant. As we move inside the Skoal Oldsmobile.
Everybody in front of Harry has stopped, and we speculate that he might be able to go the distance.
Now the number 10 car did come in for its gas and go. Jack?
It was a very fast gas and go, gentlemen. Under 5 seconds, and Buddy Parrott was just ecstatic. He calls the shots here. He's a fellow that's been on top of things for so many years, and he just came to me, punched me in the shoulder, and he said, boy, it's great to be back in the hunt for the lead.
Well, he has a lot to be proud of this afternoon. Now, Derek moved back out onto the racetrack and fell in 6th position behind Jeff Bodine. But still, it would be his best career finish if he should hang on to that spot. Here is Rusty Wallace moving through traffic, passing Jim Sauter in car number 44. Sterling Marlin is just ahead in the Sunoco car, as there are now 5 laps to go.
Do you think those fellas told Rusty Wallace he had a, well, of course, Rusty Wallace, I guess, knew he had a right front tire blistered, but I wonder if the pit crew told him and gave him something else to worry about. They probably didn't even mention it. Because that is something I'm sure that's going through his mind now. If I've blistered the tire once before, can I do it again?
You remember last week in Victory Lane, Rusty Wallace told Jerry Punch, "I am back, and we are after the championship." And it appears as if he is indeed. Crossing the line now with 4 more laps to go. Rusty Wallace about to put his second Winston Cup consecutive victory in the books. He entered the race in 4th position in the point standings, 155 behind.
And Dale Earnhardt, the Winston Cup leader, did not have a particularly good day today. He's probably closed up. He had a terrible day going for him, and he's probably up in the top 15 now. But he's still going to lose 60, 75 points to Rusty Wallace before the day is over.
It's really going to tighten up. Second place car is Harry Gant. Make that Morgan Shepherd. And I believe he's in 3rd at the moment. Harry Gant is in 2nd. Morgan Shepherd is in 3rd place.
And running in 4th place now is Hud Strickland, the rookie driver. He has yet to make a pit stop, and he might be able to go all the way. Jeff Bodine is running in 5th place.
Remember last week, Morgan Shepherd, who qualified for the pole, hit the wall after making contact with Dale Earnhardt, but he did battle back to a 6th place finish. There's Rusty Wallace now in the backstretch. When he comes down this time, he'll complete lap 198 and have 2 more to go. Let's go to Jerry Punch with a comment on Rusty.
Well, Bob Jenkins, you commented on the fact that Rusty said we're back in Victory Lane last week in Watkins Glen. Well, what they've done is the same thing they did a year ago. Remember last year when they were so strong at the end of the season? They've rolled out old Whitney, the old car they got in the shop. That's Whitney. He's driving today. The car that has won 5 Winston Cup events, including the bump and run Winston this year, the NASCAR All-Star race. So Whitney is running awfully well here. And I tell you, they are excited about this stretch run to the Winston Cup Championship. 10 races to go after the day, and Rusty Wallace, the Kodiak team, are finally loaded for that championship.
Now with about 2.5 more miles to go as he moves the car through the north banking turns 3 and 4. Coming off the corner now, he looks for the white flag to be displayed by Harold Kinder. Here it is, 1 more lap to go for Rusty Wallace. He's looking for his 15th career Winston Cup race win and his 2nd at Michigan International.
And his 5th of the year.
He would take over the lead in wins this year on the Winston Cup circuit. He and Darrell Waltrip were tied at 4 each, but Rusty would go ahead 5 to 4.
Now midway down the backstretch into turn number 3. Rusty Wallace, originally from Fenton, Missouri, St. Louis area, brings the car off of corner number 4. Here is the checkered flag, and Rusty Wallace has won the champion Sparkplug 400. Harry Gant, who was in 2nd position, is slowing down. You can see him trying to get fuel to the car. Undoubtedly is out of fuel. Here comes Morgan Shepherd, and Morgan is going to take 2nd as Harry rolled the dice and lost 1 position because of it.
Yeah, but I think he picked up some positions as a result of staying out there. I don't think he would have finished 3rd if he had come in for gas, so it was a good move, even though he lost 2nd position there as he came to the start-finish line.
Well, you can see him sloshing the car around and trying to get fuel to it so that he could cross the line, and indeed he did. Morgan Shepherd passed him and finished 2nd, but Harry finished 3rd. Let's go down to Barry Dotson, the crew chief on Rusty Wallace's car.
They have made the leap off the pit wall and are still celebrating. Congratulations, Barry. A great call today on that last pit stop. You saved them, and you got that race for your driver.
This is for Tim. We got this for Tim.
Referring to Tim Richmond, the former crew chief. Barry, Rusty said last week in Victory Lane that you guys were back. A lot of possible distractions with the court battle, but you guys want to win this Winston Cup championship.
We want to win it. You know, we do well with adversity, and our back's against the wall, and that's where they are. And we're just going to do all we can to win all of them. I'd like to say hello to Al and Evelyn. I'll be in touch with them soon. This is for them.
Barry Dotson.
Rusty Wallace in Victory Lane, and we will be back to talk with him in just a moment. He's won the champion Sparkplug 400. Top 10 finishers here this afternoon. Rusty Wallace the winner. Morgan Shepherd finishes 2nd, followed by Harry Gant, Hut Strickland, and Jeff Bodine. 6 through 10, Derek Cope, his best ever finish in Winston Cup racing. Davey Allison is 7th, Ricky Rudd 8th, Mark Martin 9th, and Alan Kowicki is 10th. Our Winner's Circle interview is being brought to you by the Die Hard Battery, now with more power when you need it most. Here's Jack Arute.
Well, Rusty Wallace, congratulations. Win number 5. You are the winningest driver now in 1989.
Oh, man, I tell you what, I'm loving it. I really appreciate everything. You know, I drove the wheels off that thing all day long, and I tell you what, I like to dedicate this win to Tim Richmond because I kind of pattern my style after him. Wide open, never stay die, getting it all the time. But I'd also like to say hope Billy Bones back in California gets well. He's our main force, driving force. God, this is a great win, 2 in a row. I told him last week, if everything stays together, baby, we're going to rock and roll, and that's what we're doing now. We're just standing on it and going, and championship is in our eyes. The only way they're going to beat me is if I break down, and we don't plan on that.
Now, the first man to come and congratulate him is his car owner, Raymond Beadle. You've heard a lot of things written in the papers about the contract disputes, but Raymond, when it comes down to checkered flag time, the important thing for the rest of the year is to win, and you're solidly behind your driver.
Well, definitely. We race to win every race, and I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win the championship.
A close call at the end there, though, on that last pit stop. You had a blistered front tire. Did they radio that in, or did they keep that a secret to you?
They must have kept that a secret because I never knew that one. But, you know, I did know that we ran awful long on left side tires. And right there at the very end, I was getting out of the gas almost at the start-finish line creeping. I'm looking in the rearview mirror saying, hey, there's no use driving like a maniac, like you've been doing all day long. You got a lot of room, stroke it, let's bring her home, you know. And I just like to thank Pontiac, Mobile One, AC Spark Plugs, and Kodiak for everything they've done, the whole crew and everybody behind us just drive because, you know, we missed it in 88, but by God, we're not going to miss it in 89. And I'd like to just like to thank the whole crew for everything they've done, and we're got a lot of victories ahead yet.
Well, this driver didn't have to gamble to go to victory lane. One driver gambled trying to go to victory lane, and he's with Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Well, true, Jack Arute, gambling Harry Gannon. It almost paid off, Harry. A great run for the Skoll Oldsmobile. A couple laps to go, and then it coughed and quit.
Yeah, it really started running out there 3 laps to go. The fuel pressure started dropping, and yeah, I thought I could make it. We got to 2. I didn't really think I'd get all the way around when they give to White. It was, you know, it was virtually plumb out of gas in. So we coasted around. Car handled real good all day, and we knew that the only way we could do it was to get gas mileage. It was probably geared a little higher than most cars, and that helped us. We was getting better mileage all day.
The crew was saying here we had barely a top 10 car, and O'Harry brought it home in 3rd. They're awfully proud, but now you get to go to the track where you like to race up in Bristol, Tennessee.
Well, we looking forward to hope we have, you know, good luck at Bristol and run a little better than we did today.
Harry Gadd finishes 3rd here at the Champion Spark Plug 400, gambling on gas, and he made it pay off. Bob?
Finished 3rd. 2nd was Morgan Shepherd. Rusty Wallace wins in record time, 157.687 miles an hour. We'll be right back.